but guys, I'm a little bit under the weather, so still want to give our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ all the praise and glory. If you guys are watching this, thank you guys very much. We're just going to watch the president today, 8:26, and sign these executive orders. Appreciate you guys for joining the live. Thank you guys very much. Without further ado, let's get it.
Percent positive things, that you could win an election in a landslide, winning all seven. Think of it, all seven swing states, winning by the popular vote by millions of votes. We had a fantastic, the best this year.
Sorry, guys.
Districts out of 3,000 districts. I guess we won 3,500. We won 2,750, and they won 500. And that's to me the best of all. And we had tremendous in every way, the election. And it's hard to believe you can do that when you have a corrupt media. But you are, many of you are corrupt, and it's nothing we can do about it. But we keep winning, and we're going to keep winning. And this whole story on crime is incredible that the Democrats wouldn't be with us. So the mayor of Chicago, I watched him this morning, he said, Trump doesn't know what he's talking about. He only apprehended 9 people. Well, number one, that's false. Literally, it's thousands who get into that. But more importantly than anything, we took guns away. We have some of the worst career professionals out of the country already. They've been taken out of the country, and some are in solid confinement because these were killers. We've arrested some very bad people. And in the last 11 days, again, I hate to say it because it sounds so ridiculous, but in the last 11 days, we've had no murders. And that's the first time that's taken place in years, actually years. We always have a murder a week. They call it a murder a week. You come here from Iowa, you come here from Indiana, you come here from Idaho, because you're so proud of your country, you love your country, and then you get murdered, your son gets murdered, your daughter gets murdered, you get murdered. See the media, you get murdered. Many of you have been mugged in Washington, you just don't want to talk about it. And I know that every time I do this with you, you almost with everything, but every time I do this with you, people are saying to yourselves, he's right, and then you write a negative story. But we are doing an incredible job. The people behind me are amazing. We're working very well with the Washington police, as you know. The DC National Guard is unbelievable. We're also getting tremendous help from Secret Service. And we are at a point where Washington is booming again. People are pouring in like we haven't seen for years. Nobody wanted to come here. They didn't want to come here and get murdered. I have a friend of mine who is a very successful son. And I said, where is your son going to be this weekend? He said, he's going to Washington with his friends. I said, really? Yeah, he's wanted to do it for 4 years, but he couldn't do it because it was so unsafe. And he's a tough kid, too. It's so unsafe. And he ended up staying 3 nights, going out to restaurants all 3 nights. He said it was so beautiful, so peaceful. Because all the criminals are either arrested or they're hiding, and we're finding the ones that are hiding. So I want to thank Pam Bondi, I want to thank our Vice President, I want to thank everybody standing behind me, because they are really, Gaddy has been unbelievable, by the way. They have done an unbelievable job. They're working 24 hours a day, and Washington, D.C. is now in good shape. I'm going to be working with Clark Construction, which is by far your biggest construction company. And we're going to also beautify Washington. We're going to rip down the broken medians, fix them. We're going to put asphalt on the roads. We're not ripping them apart like these stupid people do. They rip a road down to the dirt, and then they spend 5 years in building the new one, and then it starts settling. You know, the whole thing. And they'll spend hundreds of millions of dollars on the road. I'll spend about $2, and it'll look better. So we're going to be replacing medians. We're going to be replacing much of the asphalt in the road, which is in the city, which is in bad shape. We have great stripers. We have great contractors, but we have to let them do the thing. The Congress has said that they'll give us whatever money is needed to fix up the Capitol. This is the Capitol. And we're not going to spend a lot. It's going to go fast, and it will be spotless. And we want it spotless for the World Cup and for the Olympics. You saw the World Cup was here the other day. And come to think of it, there's your trophy for the World Cup. In fact, it's solid gold. That's actually solid gold, so heavy that some of the people in this room wouldn't be able to live there. I think what I'm gonna do is place it right above the angel, right over there. That's solid gold too. We're gonna put it right up there. Look at that. There's a solid gold trophy. They know how to get to me, you know? I like the angel better, to be honest with you. So, we're gonna sign, and then we'll take a few questions, and we'll tell you how good a job we're doing. We wanna go from here to other places, but I was telling some of the people that in a certain way, you really wanna be asked to go. You know, I hate to barge in on a city and then be treated horribly by corrupt politicians and bad politicians, like a guy like Pritzker. You know, spend more time in the gym, actually. This guy is a disaster. Gavin Newsom's a disaster. When we went, we saved Los Angeles. You wouldn't have been able to have the Olympics in Los Angeles. You're barely able to have it now. They did lose 45,000 houses to a fire that should have never occurred, because they didn't let the water come down from the Pacific Northwest, which you guys don't want to write about. I had to break into the water supply to let the water down. And even now, we want more. We can have much more. It's less than half of what should be coming in. I don't know, they have a political thing about it. It's like the craziest thing I've ever seen. But I don't like going to a town, a city, place, a state, and then be criticized by some corrupt or incompetent governor where crime is rampant. Like, take a look at DC. Crime was rampant. It was at the all-time worst. It got really bad during the Biden 4 years. And then I have a mayor stand up and say how crime has reached a 30-year low. 30-year low. People are being killed left and right. And it's not a 30-year low. Think of it. So for 11 days, there's been no murders. The record goes back years where that's happened. They haven't seen that happen in years. And then people stand up, and instead of thanking us, which they should do, and she's not that bad. She's better than most. But you know, you have people, I watched in Illinois, Chicago, Illinois is a disaster. I have property there. It's a disaster what's going on in Chicago. And you get Pritzker, he's violating our rights. I think this is another men and women's sports thing. I think this is one of those, you know, they call them 80-20 issues. I call them 97-3. I think the Democrats better get smart. And, you know, politically, I hope they don't. But actually, in terms of love for the country, I hope they do, because it will be good to work together. So I'm thinking about, you know, when I have some slob like Pritzker criticizing us before we even go there, I made the statement that next should be Chicago, because as you all know, Chicago is a killing field right now. And they don't acknowledge it. And they say, we don't need him, freedom, freedom. He's a dictator, he's a dictator. A lot of people are saying maybe we like a dictator. I don't like a dictator. I'm not a dictator. I'm a man with great common sense and a smart person. And when I see what's happening to our cities, and then you send in troops, instead of being praised, they're saying you're trying to take over the republic. These people are sick. But I'm really saying, and I say this to all of you, in a certain way, we should wait to be asked, because they have cities that are so under control, you know, out of control. So we go in and fix it. They take the full credit for it, and they go out and say, I heard it this morning. They're saying how well they've done over the last 10-day period, that they set record lows. They don't say they went there with very tough people, by the way. They have to pass the toughness test, otherwise they're not working for us. So, and we're allowed to do that now according to the United States Supreme Court decision. Now they have to pass a toughness test. If they're not tough, we don't want them for this job. They might be great for other jobs, but not for this job, because they're respected. You saw the gang of kids, they were all huddled up, and a group of soldiers walked over. They never even got over. Those kids ran back to their homes or wherever the hell they came from. They were gone. This is one of the safest cities right now in the world, as crazy as that sounds. And it took 7 days. It took really 3 days, but we're now in our 11th day. So I want to thank you. So we had all of these things, 439 illegal alien criminals have been removed, and we have 6 known gang members, some of the worst leaders of gangs anywhere in the country, MS-13 and Tren de Aragua. With 2 missing children that have been recovered. They thought they were gone. We brought them back to the family. The family started crying. They couldn't believe that they saw their child again. 49 homeless encampments have been removed. Like we have the head of South Korea, coming in a little while, the president, and he drives down the street. Already, his people have told me, he said, what happened? It's so clean. We always came here, it was filthy dirty with homeless and papers all over the road. That's the other thing. Those roads are swept immaculate, but they're gonna be much better in a few months when we put a topping on them. They're gonna look like they're brand new. We'll get rid of those rusty old medians that have been crashed into 1,000 times, and they don't fix them. They just let them, they put them, they lay them down on the road and they sit there for months. But we don't do that. We don't run things. We run things like we run this. We like clean, we like beautiful, and we like safe, and that's what we're getting. So I'll start signing the executive orders. To me, this is a very, very big deal. One of the executive orders has to do with cashless bail. That was when the big crime in this country started. And I can tell you who did it, when, but I don't want to do that because others followed pretty quickly. But that was when it happened. Somebody kills somebody, they go in, don't worry about it, no cash, come back in a couple of months, we'll give you a trial. You never see the person again. And I mean, they kill people and they get out. Cashless bail. They thought it was discriminatory to make people put up money because they just killed 3 people lying on a street. Any street, all over the country, cashless bail. We're ending it, but we're starting by ending it in DC, and that we have the right to do through federalization. Okay, let's go. Could I ask you to say exactly what this is?
Of course. So as you've consistently identified, sir, cashless bail policies are a key driver of the disorder we see on city streets all over America. Catch and release system allows criminals to keep going back out onto the street and reoffending. What this executive order does, it charges your attorney general with identifying jurisdictions all over the country that have cashless bail policies, and then it withholds or revokes federal funds and grants that are flowing to those jurisdictions to ensure that we're only supporting the people who have reasonable common sense policies around crime.
So what area does it cover?
Potentially anywhere that has a cashless bail policy, so some of the largest cities, some of the most left-wing states in America.
Almost all of them, right?
Illinois would be a great example of that, sir.
Oh, they have a great cashless bail. You don't even have to go to court sometimes. No, Illinois, I love that state. It's a great state, but it's run so badly by Pritzker. They threw him out of the family business and he becomes governor. Now he wants to run for president. I don't think that's gonna happen. Okay, we'll sign right here, right?
Sir.
So important. And this isn't Republican, Democrat. This is, and by the way, most Democrats agree with this. But this is just, we gotta bring our country back. Okay? That's a big one.
Also on the issue of cashless bail, sir, this is a DC-specific executive order. In addition to the measures that we're taking that are quite similar to what we're doing around the country, in DC in particular, the objective is holding as many criminal defendants in federal custody and subjecting them to federal charges as possible. That means that they'll be held pre-trial in federal jail as opposed to just being cut back out on the streets due to a cashless bail policy.
Good. And we have the room. And by the way, the prison they have in DC is horrible. It's horrible. People were subjected to live in that dog trap for so long, so unfairly. I have stories, you'll be hearing about them. That prison is horrible. Okay?
This is an executive order that contains a number of additional measures relating to crime and law enforcement in Washington, D.C. It charges, for example, your Secretary of Defense with establishing specialized units in both the D.C. National Guard and the National Guard units around the country, specifically trained and equipped to deal with public order issues. It charges all of your various federal law enforcement agencies with hiring additional personnel to allow them to surge personnel to Washington, D.C. to deal with the current emergency here. It does a number of other things in that space, and it also asks the Attorney General to look at D.C. Metropolitan Police general orders that have currently impeded law enforcement efforts in the city, and to potentially look at unwinding those that are stopping the police from doing their job effectively.
And are we gonna ask this to be codified by Congress, all of these things?
I think we could potentially, yes, sir.
I think so. I think we should. I think we're gonna do. I think Democrats will vote. Well, it's hard to believe that they might not, but I think Democrats will actually vote for this. There's no auto pen that can do that. Look at that, man. Is that a good signature? Seriously, is that a good signature? Who can write like that? Nobody. I don't know. That's the other thing. I assume we're looking at the whole auto pen scandal. Because the person that ran it said he spoke to it briefly twice about nothing. That means that all those pardons that he gave to some very bad people, very unpatriotic people, very evil people, it looks to me like those pardons are worthless. Because number one, you shouldn't use an auto pen very specifically. But if you do, it has to be a very good reason. And they have to know that the president wanted it. The president didn't want this. The president didn't know he was alive, okay? He never approved any of this stuff. He wasn't for open borders and all the other things. He was never for open borders. I've known Biden a long time. He was never very sharp, but he was never in favor of open borders and all of the other things he did to destroy our country. Let's go.
Lastly, sir, this is an executive order on flag burning. It charges your attorney general.
When you listen to this, this is what happened. Flag burning. All over the country, they're burning flags. All over the world, they burn the American flag. And as you know, through a very sad court, I guess it was a 5-4 decision, they called it freedom of speech. But there's another reason, which is perhaps much more important. It's called death. Because what happens when you burn a flag is the area goes crazy. If you have hundreds of people, they go crazy. You could do other things. You can burn this piece of paper. You can, but when you burn the American flag, it incites riots at levels that we've never seen before. People go crazy. In a way, both ways. There are some that are going crazy for doing it. There are others that are angry about them doing it. Do you want to discuss that?
Sure. So what the executive order does, sir, it charges your Department of Justice with investigating instances of flag burning, and then where there's evidence of criminal activity, where prosecution wouldn't fall afoul of the First Amendment, and instructs the Department of Justice to prosecute those who are engaged in these instances of flag burning.
And what the penalty is going to be, if you burn a flag, you get 1 year in jail, no early exits, no nothing. You get 1 year in jail. If you burn a flag, you get, and what it does is incite to riot. I hope they use that language, by the way. Did they? Incite to riot. And you burn a flag, you get 1 year in jail. You don't get 10 years, you don't get 1 month. You get 1 year in jail, and it goes on your record. And you will see flag burning stopping immediately, just like when I signed the Statute and Monument Act. 10 years in jail if you hurt any of our beautiful monuments. Everybody left town. They were gone. Never had a problem after that. It's pretty amazing we stopped it. But this is something that's, I don't know, in a certain way, it's equally as important. Some people would say it's more important. Because the people in this country don't want to see our American flag burned and spit on. And by people that are, in many cases, paid agitators. They're paid by the radical left to do it. You talk to these people, they don't even know, half of them don't even know what they're doing. They say, I don't know how they give me money to do this. I see the same things that you do. They're bad people. They're trying to destroy our nation. That's not working, because I think our nation now is the most respected nation anywhere in the world by far. You saw that with the European leaders on Friday. You saw that with NATO, where they agreed to go from 2% no pay to 5% fully paid up, trillions of dollars paid, where they respect your president to a level that they jokingly call me the president of Europe. They call me the president of Europe, which is an honor. I like Europe, and I like those people. They're good people. They're great leaders. And we've never had a case where 7 plus really 28, essentially 35.
Sorry, guys, my apologies.
were represented here.
Thank you guys for watching the live with me. Thank you.
European countries were European and other countries were represented. That was a great meeting. But your country is respected again. I say it all the time. 1 year ago, our country was dead. Everybody said it. We had a dead country. We were not going to survive. Now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. So it's an honor to be involved. And this group has a lot to do with it, right behind me. Does anybody behind me have anything? Pam, would you like to say something?
Sure, President. Thank you for keeping DC safe. Just a couple examples of a mother single mom whose house was burglarized, and the defendant got out on cashless bail, went back the next night and burglarized her house again. That's why this is so important. A man got in a fight with another guy. He had a gun. He was let out. Next night, he got out, went back and killed him. So that's why it's so important, President, what you're doing. And thank you for protecting the American flag. And we'll do that without running afoul of the First Amendment as well. And President, I think I think Danny Serralta had something he wanted to give you on behalf of all the law enforcement who are out there every single night.
Yes, thank you for putting me in charge of this surge. As the director of the United States Marshal Service, it's the oldest law enforcement agency. It was created in 1789. So on behalf of all the federal law enforcement agencies that we're working with and those that have yet to join the team, we thought it was only appropriate to present you with an honorary United States Marshal Service badge. And this badge comes with this little item right here.
Do this 7 minutes a day until the end of September. We start on Monday, August 25th. In a week, you'll feel better. In 2 weeks, you'll look better. In a month, your wife won't believe your results. Here's a personalized plan of short chair workouts tailored for beginners over 50. It's just 7 minutes a day, beginner friendly, and requires no equipment. You can work out anytime, anywhere. Just scan the QR code and follow along.
Had a car accident? Don't use an attorney. Insurance paid you the same day. No lawyer needed.
After a car
Which is a handcuff, Mr. President, because you continue through your policies and your efforts with your staff to unhandcuff law enforcement officers all over this nation. And I can tell you personally that they thank you for that.
Thank you. That's
You
beautiful.
can continue unhandcuffing law enforcement.
That's a very great honor. We'll save that and put it someplace up, which is important. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
That's very nice. Thank you. Well, we love those people. They're brave and they love our country and they don't want to see, do you know how many people volunteered for this job? And before I ask the VP to say a few words, because he feels very strongly about it, I think it's very important, Sam, that when we do this, that a state required, they come and ask us. I mean, I see Pritzker say, we don't want them. In the meantime, the city is being shot to hell. And they do that politically. And they probably do want it. If we didn't go to Los Angeles, you would literally have had to call off the Olympics. It was so bad. And the sheriff and the law enforcement people, but the sheriff said, and it came out very strongly, he said, if we didn't have these people, we were not able to control it. Now, 4 days later, after we had it totally under control, we did that quickly. He changes to a little bit, well, I think we put it on it, and they were dead. If we didn't send in the troops, Los Angeles was dead, the Olympics was gone, the World Cup was gone, everything was gone. We did a great job, and this, we got he's an incompetent governor. But I think people should want us to be there, because otherwise all they'll do is complain as we do our job. So we'll have to think about that, okay? We go in, like in Washington, we go in and the people that are here that have been doing, I don't want to say terrible, because she happens, she's a nice woman, yes. I don't care about if she's nice, I really don't care. I want her to do, I'd rather have her be horrible, but do the job. But we come into Washington and we have the 11 best days they've had here in 2 centuries. I mean, they've never seen anything like it. Let's go 2 decades. In over 20 years, they haven't seen anything like what happened. And now they're out there saying, we don't have crime in Washington. Well, that's true. For 11 days, you don't have crime. But before that, everybody was getting hit and mugged, and you people could not walk to your office without security. That's how unsafe it was. So I think we should really let them have their city, let their city go to hell, and when they come and beg us to help. The only problem is we want to save it for the big, because the people want us there. The people here, 95% of the people here want us. The real people, not the people you find on, I don't know where you find these people. You have one person that has a broken nose, where do you get it? Well, I was mugged, good. Do you want to see Trump here with, no, I don't want, this woman has a broken nose. She got mugged. But she's saying she doesn't want any protection. It's all made up fake news. It's just fake news. I don't know where you find these people. Anyway, would you say a couple of words, please? And then I'm going to ask JD to say something. You have done an unbelievable job in a short period of time.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Highly recommended by, you know who, right?
Yes, sir.
Do you want to say his name?
Mr. Youngkin. Governor Youngkin. Yes, sir.
We stole you from
He called
Governor.
me, he called me, Glenn Youngkin called, and he said, I have somebody who's really fantastic. And based on that recommendation, here you are. You've done a fantastic job. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Go ahead.
The men and women of the Metropolitan Police Department are back. They enjoy doing their job again. They feel the ability to be law enforcement officers. They feel that they're connected to their communities again. They are making a difference. Thanks to you, Mr. President, and our federal task force, you are making DC safe once again. Thank you, sir.
It's gonna get better and better. Well, it can't get much better, there's no crime. I read where crime is down 89%. I said, really? Who are the 11%? Okay, there's no crime. JD, please.
Yes, sir. Well, thanks, Mr. President. Thanks to the incredible team here. You know, I was, want to echo something the President said where you say there haven't been murders in a couple of weeks in D.C., and it doesn't sound good, but then you talk to local law enforcement, and I didn't realize this, that this town averaged one murder every other day for the last 20, 30 years, which means that in 2 short weeks, the President and the team have saved 6 or 7 lives, people who would have been killed on the streets of DC, who are now living, breathing, spending time with their families, because the President had the willpower to say, no more. We're not going to give the streets of DC over to vagrants and robbers and murderers. And the last point I want to make, sir, to your point about we want people to welcome us, to ask us, because look at Governor Pritzker in Illinois, or Governor Newsom in Los Angeles, or Governor Moore in Maryland. They are angrier about the fact that the President of the United States is offering to help them get their crime under control than they are about the fact that murderers are running roughshod over their cities and have been for decades. Why are Democrat governors angrier about federal law enforcement helping clean up their streets than they are about the fact that those streets need to be cleaned up to begin with? It shows a real sickness in the head. And I agree with the President of the United States. I think most Democrats, rank and file, nobody likes crime. Republicans don't like crime. Democrats don't like crime. Independents don't like crime. Why are Democratic governors doing everything in their power to make crime easier to do in their cities? It doesn't make an ounce of sense to me. But, Mr. President, I appreciate you being willing to help. And I hope these governors take you up on the offer, because we should clean up all of America's streets. It's the right of every American to live in safety and comfort in their community.
And we've got the people to do it. They're signing up like they've never signed up before. Our military, as you know, during the campaign, nobody was signing up. We were way short of their goal, we were understaffed. Nobody wanted to be in the military, nobody wanted to be a policeman, nobody wanted to be a fireman. They didn't want anything to do with the country. We had an incompetent, grossly incompetent president who frankly should not have been there. He should have never been there. The damage he did to this country is incalculable. I mean, just what he has done, so much of our effort are getting murderers and jailbirds and people out of this country who are drug dealers at the highest level. So much of the energy of people that he led, and it was an unforced error. But I don't think they think it's an error, but I don't believe he believed it. It was the radical lunatics that surrounded this guy at this desk, who were brilliant people, but with the wrong philosophy. There were some brilliant people, but they're evil people, and they're gonna be brought down. They have to be brought down, because they really hurt our country. But we're getting it back very quickly, and I'll tell you something, our country's now it's stronger. I think we're more respected than we've been respected in 100 years. It's a whole different ballgame. JD, could I ask you,
Yes, sir.
you gave a stat on murders here. What were the numbers? You said in a short period of time, how many people were murdered?
Local law enforcement told me, sir, that in the past 20 or 30 years, DC has averaged a murder every other day. That's, 200 murders a year, 150, 250, but about every other day, a person has been killed on the streets of Washington, DC. We've been doing this for 2 weeks. 0 people killed. That's real lives saved that the media and frankly the entire Democratic Party should be saying, thank you for saving lives instead of attacking the President of the United States for doing so.
You know, when a person, unfortunately, it will probably happen at some point, when a person's murdered in DC, it's gonna be the biggest story maybe in history. Right?
Yes, sir.
Somebody was murdered in DC, Trump is failing. No, we're not failing. We have a safe city. This is maybe the safest city in America right now. That's how good it is. And it would be nice to be appreciated. These people eventually, they're gonna have to be appreciated for what they're doing. And they're gonna have to be appreciated by the officials that are really happy when we go in because they've lost control of their place. Steve Miller, please, say a few words.
Thank you, sir. So just to, first of all, follow up on what the Vice President said. No police officer working in the city can remember a time in their lives when there has been no murders. You can work at the police department for 20 years, 30 years, your whole life. We've checked the records. No one can even find a record of being murder-free for as long as we've been murder-free under President Trump's leadership. Additionally, and the President spoke on this before, we've uncovered, in the process of uncovering, a massive scandal in Washington, D.C. with the doctoring of crime stats. And the Department of Justice, under the Attorney General, is leading the effort to uncover this. But when we ultimately share the results, it will stun you. The extent to which, even though D.C. had the worst crime in America, honestly measured, it dramatically understated how bad it was. There's even accusations that murders and homicides were reported as accidents instead of murders. I mean, this is how severe the manipulation of the crime data has been in this city, and it will all be uncovered and it will all be brought to light. I've had a chance to spend some time, as everyone here, with the police officers in the city. Members of the public are going up to them and thanking them, just overflowing with gratitude, because for the first time in their lives, they can use the parks, they can walk on the streets. You have people who can walk freely at night without having to worry about being robbed or mugged. They're wearing their watches again. They're wearing jewelry again. They're carrying purses again. People have changed their whole lives in this city for fear of being murdered, mugged, and carjacked. It is a literal statement that President Trump has freed 700,000 people in this city who were living under the rule of criminals and thugs. And the last thing I'll say is that under the efforts of Terry, to my left and many here, what they found also is that the street criminals here in Washington, D.C. were doing business directly with the transnational criminal cartels, the foreign terrorist organizations. So not only was the city being run by these criminal thugs, but they were working with some of the most dangerous terrorist organizations on the planet to traffic weapons and drugs into this city. And what we are uncovering every day is shocking to us, and we look forward to sharing all the results with you. But President Trump, your leadership has uncovered some of the great public safety scandals of our life, and now because of you, people are safe and free for the first time ever in this city.
Thank you very much, Steve. Los Angeles, Beverly Hills is, a great place. I have a house there. I had a house there. I used to stay a lot of time, spend a lot of time there. And a great place. You know that I have friends, they leave their trunk open for their car because they know they're gonna be vandalized. They don't want the trunk ripped off in order for them to steal what's in the back. They leave the doors open, so when they go in to steal the radio or whatever they take, that they don't rip off the door. They leave the doors totally open, so the criminals, when they go and open the door, they have to break the windows and kill the car in order to steal whatever it is in the car that they're looking for. And that's,
Grip, stability, precision. That's the essence of driving. Lawfit.
They don't really make bags like this anymore, but for years we did. One at a time, all by hand. No mass production, just real structure and real craftsmanship. Now, as we wrap up this chapter, every last handcrafted bag is up to 80% off and almost gone. People tell us all the time, I've used mine every single day for years, and now you hardly have to spend anything because we're closing our doors. So this is it, one last chance. Shop the closing sale now, up to 80% off. True craftsmanship before it's gone forever.
At a level that nobody's ever seen before. Nobody lives like that. I have another friend, he has a garage, and in order to save his garage door, he leaves it open so that people can just walk into his garage, take whatever they want, and leave. But all the cars so many cars, I've been told this by many people, stars, big people, they leave their doors open so the doors aren't destroyed by these criminals. All over Los Angeles this is taking place. And you know that, I mean, you've heard that. Christie, could you say a few words?
Sure. Well, Mr. President, I think one of the most impactful statistics that you used today was of the 1,000 arrests that have happened already so far. 439 of them were illegal criminals, which means they never should have been in this country to begin with. That they were in this country, invaded over our southern border or our northern border or maritime seas, and then they committed crimes against the American people. So by getting those individuals incarcerated, we've stopped those violent crimes from happening here in the city. And sir, they do, exactly like Stephen was talking, they have ties to cartels, they have networks across this country and other cities. So by what you're doing here is gonna have a ripple effect in Miami, in Chicago, in other cities, because you're grabbing those networks and giving us information and targeting information to go and get more criminals across this country. So thank you for the work that you're doing. We have ICE and CBP, Federal Protective Services, Secret Service, HSI, all of our officers are working with all the other agencies every day here in DC, and they're so proud to have this kind of partnership. So we're so glad that you're letting them do their jobs again. And I don't know if you've heard, sir, but the recruitment campaign for ICE, when we were going to hire 10,000 new officers, we've got over 130,000 people that have applied and raised their hands and said they want to work with ICE. So no matter what the fake news says, or what the media says about ICE not having support, they've got incredible support from the American people. People want to join them and help them do what they're doing to make America safe again. So thank you for
I was
that.
going to say that our recruitment drive, it was dead. During the campaign, they couldn't get, every story was the Army can't fill out, the Marines, none of them could fill out. They were way behind. We couldn't get anybody to go into the military, couldn't get any police. We've just set records on everybody wants to be in, everybody wants to go in. Then we're taking incredible people. I mean, the level of, because of the Supreme Court, it's based on merit. It's all based on merit now. It's not based on anything else. You gotta, if you need strong people, you have to get strong people. It's all based on merit. But we're setting records in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, the Coast Guard. One of my favorites, because I happen to have created it, Space Force. We're very proud of Space Force. It's amazing what it's doing. We're leading in space now. China was killing us. Russia was beating us. China was killing us. We're now killing China. We are leading in space by a lot because of Space Force. So we're very proud. But everybody wants to go in. We went from not, and you know how bad that is for the spirit when every story that you were writing a year ago was that nobody wants to go into the military anymore. And if you're in the military, you know how deflating that is? You go home to your family, nobody wants the job that you have. Well, now it's the opposite. Everybody wants to be there. And that includes police and fire and everything else. You're doing a good job. You stopping a lot of wars. just the presidents we're stopping them. We've stopped 7 wars, and really the number is actually 10. We're not including a couple, and we're not including in there what we did with Iran, stopping their nuclear play. They would have had within a month or two, they would have had a nice big nuclear weapon to use. That's not going to happen. That won't happen. Pete, go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. Well, Mr. President, thank you very much for your leadership. And the Defense Department is proud to be a part of this task force. Just like we have been down at the southwest border, where crossings are at 0, we've got natural defense areas where we're working with Border Patrol to secure the southern border for the American people. Just like Los Angeles, where ICE officers deserve to do their job without being attacked, we're really proud to be a part of defending the nation's capital and ensuring it is safe and beautiful and working with law enforcement. And Mr. President, let me tell you, the morale of the troops, getting out there talking to them, they love this mission. They're grateful to be doing it, whether they're DC National Guard or other state National Guards.
And at your direction as well, sir, it's just common sense to make sure they're armed as well. And so they were rolling out ensuring they're armed, capable of defending themselves and others if need be, supporting law enforcement, and we're proud to be there, sir.
Well, look at the mission you just accomplished with Iran. 36 hours back and forth, flawless. Every bomb hit its target. They went right down those chutes, dark at night, no moon, no nothing. Every target, every bomb went right down. They have a chute that goes right down deep into the mountain. And they shouldn't have put ventilation in, I can tell you, because we use that to our advantage. But what they did, and we had the pilots and even the people that took care of the planes, we had a whole group of people at the White House a couple of weeks ago. And you know, I didn't realize this, but they said, we've been looking at their predecessors, and then these were the pilots. They said, we gave them beautiful medals. And I'll show you the medal. They gave a medal just like this. See? Just like that. They were so happy. They gave a lot of them out for that. It was an incredible job. You know, we had 52 tankers. People don't realize, so that they could refuel. We had many fighter jets, F-22s, F-35s. We had many. It was an amazing operation. It was flawless. Compare that to the operation when they went in with the helicopters crashing and everyone running around the desert, and the prisoners being taken, and there was Jimmy Carter. And what a horrible thing. This was the exact opposite. This was the exact opposite of what they did in leaving a very, very nice place. The Taliban runs a tough operation in Afghanistan, and I think it was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country. That was Biden. I was leaving, and we would have left with strength, tremendous strength. We would have had tremendous, and we would have kept Bagram, which is the air base, one of the largest runways in the world, one of the most powerful. You could land anything on it, many, many feet thick. You don't build them that way anymore. You can't. But we left it, and now China's occupying that air base. This was the most incompetent administration in history, the Biden administration. And you're just lucky that they lost, because if they won, you wouldn't have a country anymore. And so, Pete, you started off by saying the Department of Defense. And somehow it didn't sound good to me. You know, it didn't sound good. Defense, what are we defense? Why are we defense? So it used to be called the Department of War. And it had a stronger sound. And as you know, we won World War I, we won World War II, we won everything. Now we have a Department of Defense with defenders. I don't know, if you people want to, standing behind me, you take a little vote. If you want to change it back to what it was when we used to win wars all the time, that's okay with me, all right?
That's common
You
sense.
let me know if you want to do it. I think Department of War, it just sounded bad. He said, sir, on behalf of the Department of Defense. Defense, I don't want to be defense only. We want defense, but we want offense too, if that's okay. So you'll make a decision. But you know, as Department of War, we won everything. We won everything. And I think we're gonna have to go back to that. In the meantime, I've stopped all of these wars. I've stopped them. The big one would have been India and Pakistan. But we stopped them all. We stopped 3 wars. Go to Africa. They like to say, oh, you know, okay, I love black people. And I did great with the vote with black people. But they say he's a racist, he's a racist. I said, really? For 35 years, a war raged between Rwanda and the Republic of the Congo. And it was a vicious war. 9 million people were killed with machetes largely. Hatchets, machetes. That went on for more than 30 years, but 34, 35 years. And I stopped it. In fact, the presidents are coming in a week or two to sign. We have the foreign ministers to all sign the war stop. But I got it stopped and saved a lot of lives. The Congo, as deep into deepest, darkest Africa. I got that war stopped. Nobody else could have done that. We did a lot of jobs. We did a lot of wars were stopped that nobody thought would even be possible. And I'll tell you what, the war with India and Pakistan, that was the next level. That was going to be a nuclear war. They already shot down 7 jets. That was raging. And I said, you guys want to do trade? We're not doing any trade. We're not doing anything with you if you keep fighting. You get 24 hours to settle it. They said, well, there's no more war going. And I used that on numerous occasions. Trade, I used I used whatever you had to use. We got 7 of them stopped. And the one I thought would be easiest, frankly, was going to be Russia and Ukraine. But that turns out to be some big personality conflicts. It's one of those things, but we're gonna get that stopped eventually. We're gonna get that stopped too. 7,000 soldiers died last week. They're gonna, 7,000. I usually say 5,000, but 7,221 soldiers died last week in the fighting between Ukraine and Russia. And they're not our soldiers, but they're souls. They're living souls, and they leave their homes and they wave to their parents, and their parents are so proud that they leave in a beautiful uniform, and a week later they get their head blown off by a drone. New form of military. It's a whole new form of fighting. So I would just like to thank the people that are.
How do we pay for all this?
It's an oldie thing.
Florida drivers, do not pay your insurance bill until you hear this.
After 8 years in the car insurance industry, it's time I'll tell you all their dirty little secrets. The truth is, they are legally robbing you every time you pay for your car insurance. Here's the deal. A big chunk of your monthly payment isn't even for your coverage. It's for the agent's commission. Crazy, right? But there's a way out. I found this website called comparisons.org that cuts out the middleman completely. No agents, no commission. The result? A rate that fits your needs at the lowest price possible. And that's it. I put the link below. Click it and see how much you can save. Stop letting them rob you. It's time to keep your money where it belongs, in your pocket. So click the link below and stop getting ripped off. So guys, check if you're eligible for savings on car insurance by scanning this QR code or visiting savenow123.com on your mobile device. Simply scan the code with your phone, provide some basic information, and see the best offers available to you. Scan now and find out if you qualify for savings today.
Behind me. Thank you very much. You've done a fantastic job. I appreciate it very much. We're doing a real job, and I'm so proud of DC. I passed it 2 days ago, and all the garbage is off the streets. It's terrible. I came in a month and a half ago. I'm driving down, and I see garbage all over the place. The streets were a pigsty, like I won't use the city's names, but you know what I'm talking about. There are plenty of them outside of this country and inside of this country. Baltimore is a horrible, horrible deathbed. It's a deathbed. I know Governor Moore said, oh, he wants to take a walk with me. He meant it in a derogatory tone. I said, no, I'm the president of the United States. Clean up your crime and I'll walk with you. But it's tremendous crime. But he was trying to be derogatory. He doesn't have what it takes. But he's trying to be derogatory, and I met him at the Army-Navy game. They said, oh, there's Governor Moore, he'd love to see you. He came over to me, hugged me, shook my hand. You were there. He said, sir, you're the greatest president of my lifetime. I said, it's really nice that you say that. I'd love you to say it publicly, but I don't think you can do that, so it's okay. But no, sir, you're doing a fantastic job. I want to just shake your hand. Thank you very much, Governor. That was it. And then every time I see him on television, he's knocking the hell out of me. So, but that's all right. It's called politics. But Governor Moore's he's doing a bad job. Newsom's doing a bad job. All of their potential candidates are doing a bad job. I can't imagine Pritzker being even a candidate, but somebody said he is. He can't do the work, can't do the job. He's not temperamentally suited. So I just want to thank you all for being here. Do you have some questions?
Is the Pentagon, and maybe the Secretary of Defense can weigh in too, is the Pentagon preparing for military deployment to Chicago? And with what you said there, are you waiting for the governor?
We're ready to go anywhere. We have a full complement of great human beings. We're full. You know, our military is full. We were way empty 1 year ago. Now we're full. So we can go anywhere on less than 24 hours notice. And we're doing a lot to interdict, to stop drugs from coming in too. We have ships out on sea. You know, we have nobody coming through our border anymore. Nobody. Doesn't that feel good to know that you don't have prisoners coming in and, you know, killers, murders? We had 11,888 murderers come in, led in by the Biden administration. Many of them have been captured, but we still have a couple of thousand that are out there. Some of them, 50% of them killed more than one person, okay? But a lot of them have been captured. What they've done to our country is unthinkable. It's unthinkable. I mean, if you think so much of our time is devoted to correcting a problem that all they had to do is say, close the borders. Remember when he said, well, I have no power to close the border. I have to go back and get an act from Congress. I didn't get an act from Congress. I came in, I said, close the borders. And Tom Homan, who's not here, has been fantastic, Christie, right? Tom Homan is great. He's a fantastic man and respected by everybody. But I said, Tom, close the borders. Christie, close the borders. The borders were closed. We didn't go to Congress and get permission. We just closed the borders. And in the last 3 months, hard to believe this one too, in the last 3 months, we've had 0 people come into our country illegally through the southern border. Nobody would have said that's possible. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today, MS-13 gangbanger and FEMA tracker Kilmar Abrego Garcia turned himself into ICE in Baltimore. Do you have any comment on this? And why are the Democrats so emotionally attached to this man who beats his wife and is part of a terrorist organization?
Because they think he's going to be good for votes, and I think he's right bad for votes. These people are deranged. He's not good for votes. He beat the hell out of his wife. His wife is afraid to even talk about it. She's been mauled by this animal. And, through a system of liberal courts, he's doing things, but no, we have that under control. And Pam has got that very much under control. Do you want to comment on it?
No, we've got him under control. He will no longer terrorize our country. He's currently charged with human smuggling, including children. The guy needs to be in prison. He doesn't need to be on the streets like all these liberals want him to be. And as part of this operation here in DC, we've also taken on MS-13 members. We've taken, I think just last night, we got a TDA guy off our streets right here, right around from where we all work. Another TDA member gone because of this project. So we're going to keep America safe from all of these foreign terrorist organizations, including Abrego Garcia.
Mr.
President, if we could get your reaction, sir. The Israelis bombed a hospital in Gaza that killed 20 people, including 5 journalists.
When did this happen?
This happened overnight, today.
I didn't know.
Any reaction to this? Are you
Well, I'm
going to
not
talk
happy
to
about it. I don't want to see it. At the same time, we have to end that whole nightmare. I'm the one that got the hostages out. I got them out. All of them. Steve Witkoff has been amazing. He's done a great job. But I'm the one that got them all out through my people and through me. And now we're left with probably a little bit less than 20 because I think 1 or 2 are gone. And I said a long time ago, I'm going to get them out, but when we get down to that final 10 or 20, these people aren't going to release them because they're dead after they release them. So it's a nasty situation, very nasty, horrible thing. Yes.
Could you please elaborate on your post on South Korea? What were you referring to?
Well, I heard that there were raids on churches over the last few days, very vicious raids on churches by the new government in South Korea. That they even went into a military base and got information. They probably shouldn't have done that, but I heard bad things. I don't know if it's true or not. I'll be finding out. As you know, your new president's coming in just a couple of hours, coming here. I look forward to meeting him. But we won't stand for that. We just won't stand for that.
Are you prepared to order National Guard troops, though, into American cities if those governors don't request the federal deployment?
I am, but I also think that, look, Chicago, everybody knows how bad it is. Everybody standing there knows, we know. You don't have to be doing any studies. They should be saying, please come in. Pritzker should be saying that. You know, I did a favor for Christie Whitmer, a good favor, I think, with the fish, the carp, the China carp. Did you ever hear of it? China carp. And it's taken over your Great Lakes, you know about that, right? And she came and she wanted to know if it's possible for us to do something about it. And I said, well, I'll do it. But I think it's appropriate that the person from Illinois, the governor from Illinois, asks also. It's a tremendously expensive project, actually. It's invasive, it's horrible what's happened, and we can do it with GSA and various people, but we can do it. We're gonna just have to see what happens, okay? We're gonna have to see what happens. But the governor of Michigan came, was very respectful, asked for it. She's done a good job. I did that. I opened the Air Force Base, kept it open for F-35s and various planes, F-22s too. I did that for the state of Michigan at her request. And I will, and also at our congressmen, you know, we have congressmen that are unbelievably pro-Michigan up there. But some of this stuff, like the lakes, the Great Lakes, this is a big problem that nobody ever talks about. Most of you probably have never heard of. We have a pretty violent fish that comes from China, China carp, Chinese carp. And you see them jumping out, they jump into boats and they jump all over the place. They've got a lot of energy. And there's a way of getting rid of them. It's very expensive. And I didn't get a request from the governor of Illinois, is affected maybe more than anybody else, right? And I think until I get that request from that guy, I'm not going to do anything about it. And I feel the same way about crime. We go in, we will solve Chicago within 1 week, maybe less, but within 1 week we will have no crime in Chicago, just like we have no crime in DC. But, you know, I don't like to go in and do it and then have somebody stand up and say what a great job he's doing on crime. And we don't want the military in our state. We don't want the military. Do you understand? Do you understand that?
Yeah, these governors will say.
So I don't know.
There was no
We're gonna
emergency
have a little
response.
meeting, I think, you know, I feel like we go in and we do it, like here. To a lesser extent with the mayor, she hasn't been terrible, but she hasn't been, you know, exactly saying, oh, great. She did say last night, I heard her say that, well, we really don't want the military in DC. Well, that's, you know, not very nice, I guess. That's a little bit of a hit, but she's not as bad as some. We saved Los Angeles, and all we did is get criticized by this idiot that's running the state into the ground, right? Where people are leaving. He should be thanking us, and he should be requesting us to be there. And the governor of Illinois should be. Chicago is a disaster, and the governor of Illinois should say, President, would you do us the honor of cleaning up our city? We need help. They need help. They need help.
But without that request,
We may wait, we may or may not. We may just go in and do it, which is probably what we should do. The problem is, it's not nice when you go in and do it and somebody else is standing there saying, as we give great results, say, we don't want the military. They need help badly. Chicago desperately needs help. And just look at the crime statistics. Look at the statistics that JD said about, even I didn't know it was that bad. That's terrible. But all I know is we're being celebrated because we went an entire week. Now it's 11 days. We went an entire week without a murder. And I said, boy, that sounds terrible. I didn't know how, actually made a speech, I didn't know how to say it. Because it's a great number, it's a great thing, but it sounds so bad. I mean, supposing you're from a foreign country, which is properly run and they don't have murders and things, right, so much, or in some cases virtually at all. And you have somebody saying, I'm proud to announce that nobody was murdered in the capital of the United States this week. It sounds terrible, but.
Mr. President, Gavin Newsom, you mentioned Gavin Newsom.
Gavin Newsom, yes.
Is there a federal mechanism you're hoping to use to fight back against his redistricting constitutional amendment, or is that?
Well, I think I'm gonna be filing a lawsuit.
Summer adventure awaits in a rugged new Honda. It's time to chase the sun. Wherever it takes you. With impressive Honda capability and exciting performance. From the Kelley Blue Book Best Value brand. Right now, you can get a $359 per month lease on a 2026 CR-V all-wheel drive Elements.
Do this 7 minutes a day until the end of September. We start on Monday, August 25th. In a week, you'll feel better. In 2 weeks, you'll look better. In a month, your wife won't believe your results. Here's a personalized plan of short chair workouts tailored for beginners over 50. It's just 7 minutes a day, beginner-friendly, and requires no equipment. You can work out anytime, anywhere. Just scan the QR code and follow along.
pretty soon. And I think we're gonna be very successful in it. We're gonna be filing it through the Department of Justice. That's gonna happen. And we're also gonna be filing a lawsuit on blue slipping. You know, blue slips make it impossible for me as president to appoint a judge or a U.S. attorney because they have a gentleman's agreement. It's nothing memorialized. It's a gentleman's agreement that's about 100 years old, where if you have a president like a Republican and if you have a Democrat senator, that senator can stop you from appointing a judge or a U.S. attorney. In particular, those are the two, I guess anything, but those are the two that are very important. So we have numerous states where we have unbelievable people. Now, Jay Clayton was just approved in the Southern District, but he was so good. He was a top student, top schools, top everything, went to Sullivan and Cromwell, became the head of Sullivan and Cromwell, came down here, was Securities and Exchange Commission, ran it for 4 years during my term, like impeccably, beautiful job. He did an incredible job. And we went to court, and the judges, Democrat judges, voted that he could, that's the only way you get by it. But generally speaking, you can't do that because you'll have judges from the other party. So Jay Clayton just got approved, and he's in, but he didn't get approved by the senators. He got approved by the court system in New York, which was a great thing. And I had a big victory in New York, I might add. I saved myself $500 million with a fake, corrupt attorney general, a really corrupt person with a corrupt judge who was disgraceful, and they're being mauled right now by everybody. It's so corrupt, and it kept business out of New York. It's stuff like that. But the appellate division vacated all of that stuff that you read about, and we're going to do a big number on that whole thing. You can't have a corrupt court system. You can't have that. You have to have borders, and you have to have a free press. Otherwise, you don't have a country. But you'll be hearing about the blue slipping, because if you have not, you don't need two senators. You just need one Democrat senator with a Republican. The only person that I can get approved are Democrats, or maybe weak Republicans, but we don't want that. But the only person I will be able to get approved in any of those states where you have a Democrat, I can't get a U.S. attorney. I can only get a Democrat U.S. attorney. And this is based on an old custom. It's not based on law, and I think it's unconstitutional, and I'll probably be filing a suit on that pretty soon. Yeah, please.
During the campaign, you called Kamala Harris a communist, but the Biden-Harris administration, they never called for nationalizing a private company with the federal government like you're proposing with Intel. What do you say to some who say this is a bit hypocritical, and is this the new way of doing industrial policy?
Yeah, sure it is. I want to try and get as much as I can. If people come in and they need something, as an example, as a real estate person, if I have an agreement and I have any form of a stopgap where I can stop somebody from doing something, right? I have a covenant in an agreement, and they come to me and they say, would like you to, would like to do something, but you have us restricted. If I do that, they usually have to pay. Now, in the case of Intel, it was interesting, but I hope I'm going to have many more cases like it. Intel came in. I met with the gentleman. I had a lot of respect for him. He came in under a little bit of a cloud. I liked his story. I thought he was good. I think he really means to do a good job with Intel. I said, I'd like to ask whether or not you give, you know, because the story, a lot of people said I invested in Intel. I didn't invest, but I invest my heart in it and my soul because I want the country to be strong. But I said, I'd like you to give 10% of Intel to the United States of America. Not to me, to the United States of America. And I said, if you have them as a partner, you have the United States as a partner, I think that would be a very good thing for Intel. And he thought about it, a little bit different, and he said, I like that idea very much. We have a deal. And I just paid $10 billion or $11 billion to the United States of America. And yeah, there will be other cases. If I had that opportunity again, I would do that. And then, you know, you do have stupid people say, oh, that's a shame. It's not a shame. It's called business. If somebody's willing to give you 10% of a company and you're not paying for it, and I will tell you, with a company like Intel, as you know, it's had difficulty. I want them to do well. I want them to do well anyway, but I want them to do well in particular then.
But isn't public ownership of a private company a new way of doing business in the business of the United States? Isn't that what you were sort of projecting?
So it does. So, as you know, the stock market went up almost 1,000 points on Friday. And it went up not because of this very, I think, terrible, hello, who is that back there? All right, get out of the room. It went up because of something much different. It went up because it was announced, CPO announced the numbers, and as you know, they gave no credit to tariffs. They said they made a mistake, that the trade deficit will be reduced because of Trump's tariffs, will be reduced by $4 trillion, right? Is that what they said, right? They said $4 trillion, and the market went up like a rocket ship because the tariffs are good. Well, tariffs aren't that usual. If the 7 wars I stopped, 4 of them were because of the fact that I had tariffs and trade. And I was able to say, well, if you do this, if you go fight, and if you want to kill everybody, that's okay. But I'm going to charge you each 100% tariff when you trade with us. You know what? They all gave up. I stopped 7 wars. Numerous of them was because of tariffs. So, you know, you never knew the word tariff. It didn't exist really, essentially, in this country until actually in the 1870s up till 1913 it existed, and we were the richest country. We were richer then, proportionately, than at any time in the history of our country. And then, stupidly, in 1913, they said, let's go to the income tax way of life. Let the people pay instead of foreign countries. No, we're taking in trillions of dollars in tariffs, and we're stopping wars because of tariffs. So that's not so normal either. But you know what? Other countries did it to us, and now we're doing it to other countries.
We rolled out boots on the ground in Ukraine, but how would air support as part of a security guarantee be any different? Those U.S.
Well, you
airmen.
really went from one question to the next. You go from one to the next. I expected him to at least challenge me. Now we're talking about boots on the ground.
But U.S. air assets over the skies of Ukraine as part of a security guarantee, would those U.S. airmen also be?
Well, you don't know what security guarantee is because we haven't even discussed the specifics of it. And we'll see. Number one, Europe is going to give them significant security guarantees, and they should because they're right there. But we'll be involved from the standpoint of backup. We're going to help them. And I think if we get a deal, and I think we will, but if we get a deal, you're not going to, I don't believe you're going to have much of a problem. But we'll back it up because I want to stop seeing people being killed. You know, when Biden was here, he gave $350 billion. You know this from covering business. $350 billion to Ukraine. I said that Zelensky's the greatest salesman I think I've ever met, better than P.T. Barnum, because he'd come to the country, he'd walk out with $50 billion every time. And he actually came here once, he walked out with $100 billion. We're up to $350 billion. I got $1 trillion worth of rare earth that we have from the country, because I felt badly for our taxpayer. But I did something else at the NATO meeting. They are wealthy countries, but they weren't paying. And we don't pay any money to Ukraine anymore. Do you know that? In fact, it's the opposite. They request through NATO, we deal with NATO, we don't deal really with Ukraine. NATO requests missiles, they want Patriots, they want missiles. We give the missiles to NATO, NATO pays us in full and does what they want. I mean, I think they give them mostly they can do other things with them too, because we're dealing with NATO. We pay no money to Ukraine. We gave $350 billion to Ukraine. You know, if we didn't give that kind of money, and I was the one that gave the javelins, if you remember. I gave the javelins, they were very effective. They say Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. They were very effective with those tanks right at the beginning. But you would have never had a war if I were president. You would have never had a war. Just to finish, we spend no money on Ukraine anymore. We were getting fleeced by a president that didn't know what he was doing. To be honest, I don't blame Ukraine. I mean, if they come and ask for $100 billion, then they get it. But we're in for $350 billion. Now, we make money. I don't want to make money on Ukraine. I want the war to end because I want to save all those lives. I want to just say, But just so you understand, we're no longer losing money on that thing. We were losing money hand over fist. And now we don't lose any money. Now we sell weapons to NATO. Because NATO agreed, because of me, to go to 5%, they had 2% and didn't pay. Now they have 5% and they're all paid up. So they have trillions of dollars and they give us that money. But I really want the war to end, and we're gonna get it ended.
Mr. President, at the recent historic summit here with Ukrainian President Zelensky and European leaders all met here with you at the White House. You said you wanted to get this done bilateral as soon as possible. Have you spoken to Putin since last Monday?
Yeah, I have.
What is your conversation?
Every conversation I have with him is a good conversation, and then unfortunately a bomb is loaded up into Kiev or someplace, and then I get very angry about it. I think we're gonna get the war done. It's tough. I thought that would be, of the 7 that I settled, I thought that would be the easiest of the group. See, you never know what's gonna happen. In a war, strange things happen in war. The fact that he went to Alaska, our country, I think was a big statement that he wants to get it done. That was not easy for him to go to Alaska, for him to come here. But the fact that he showed up on a very successful, that was a very successful day for other things. Because, we're also talking about missiles, nuclear, we're talking about a lot of different things. We're talking about limiting nuclear weapons, we'll get China into that. We have the most, Russia has the second most, and China has third, but China is way behind, but they'll catch us in 5 years. We would like to denuclearize. It's too much power. And we talked about that also. That's part of it. But we have to get the war over with.
Thank you. On Baltimore, you said that you are going to have to reconsider bridge funding. Is that contingent on Westmore cleaning up the streets?
No, we were very generous to him on a bridge. A boat ran into a bridge and the bridge came down like I've never seen anything. The boat was it just shows you the mass of that boat, the power of that boat. People were up on that bridge, painters. They were painting the bridge and they were watching it happen. And they thought they were very safe. They all died. They were painting the bridge, can you imagine? And they watched the boat. The engines were off. And they watched the boat. And the power of that boat, the mass of that boat, went right through that steel just like it was nothing. It's amazing. It's called mass. Mass is a big deal. But the mass of that boat, those people all died. But they thought they were totally safe. They were eating their lunch. They were, whatever. They were watching it. They could have gotten off. Somebody did a very good job. A police officer called in and said, close the bridge. And he did it with power. Get everybody off the bridge, close that. That guy should get a medal because he stopped the bridge. A lot of people would have died. A lot more people would have died. The ones that died were the workers on the bridge. And they thought there was no danger. Because, it's a big steel bridge. And it came down like toothpicks. It was incredible to watch that. It was just, and they died. They all died. But that police officer, again, the police do a great job. The police officer did an amazing job. And I heard the tapes. He would say, get everybody off. Most people wouldn't have said that. When you see a thing like that, you assume it's going to, tap the bridge and it's going to be rebuffed. The thing just came down. I've never seen anything like it. So he did a good job. In fact, I think we should get him in for a medal. The man that gave the warning, I listened to him. Everybody get off screaming. Everybody off. He had the sense to realize that this could be a catastrophe as opposed to a ship that's because the engines weren't working. It's just floating. It's an amazing thing that a thing floating like that with no power just knocked it right down like it was nothing.
So
Let's do that. Let's give him a medal. I've been thinking about it.
Mr. President, do you plan to investigate Chris Christie?
Say what?
Do you plan to investigate Chris Christie?
Look, Chris is a slob. Everybody knows it. I know Chris better than anybody in the room. I always felt he was guilty. But what he did is he took the George Washington Bridge, which is very serious. He closed down the George Washington Bridge. And you had medical people, you had ambulances caught up. This thing was closed down. And obviously he knew about it. But he blamed the young lady that worked for him and another person, and they got into a lot of trouble. She ultimately was, I don't know, exonerated, but she got out of it a little bit. But she went through hell. She was a young mother, nice person, I know her a little bit. And another man went to jail. and Chris got off. And so when I listened to Chris speak his hate, I say, oh, what about the George Washington Bridge? You know, tell me about the George Washington Bridge. He blamed other people, but he knew all about it. So no, I don't know if they want to look at it. It's not for me. If they want to look at it, they can. You can ask Pam. I think we have other things to do, but I always thought he got away with murder.
Mr. President, do you plan to make an endorsement in the Texas Senate race between Ken Paxton and John Cornyn?
Well, I'll make up my mind. I like them both. The worst situation I have is when I have two people that I get along with well. I hate it. And they all want the endorsement. You know, I'm almost 100% of the people I endorse win. It's a great honor. And I got, as you know, I got the largest vote in the history of Texas by far. Nobody's ever gotten more votes in the last election. I think in all the elections, the 3 elections, but they like me in Texas. So people are waiting for me, but I'd rather not comment on it right now. I like both guys. They're both friends of mine, and they're both good and very different.
There's some talk among congressional Republicans about another reconciliation bill. Where do you fall on that, and what would you like to prioritize?
Well, I don't want to do cutting. I want to save all the different things. I'm going to cut things that are unnecessary, but the one thing I said, and I gave my word, we're not going to hurt anybody on Medicaid, Medicare, or Social Security. And in fact, we're doing great on Social Security. We found 300,000 illegals on Social Security. We got them out. And you know, things like that make Social Security very, very strong. So no, I am very big into certain things, and one of those 3, you could say 3 of those things are Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. We're going to protect it. And so we'll see how everything works out. If we're talking about rescissions on other things, I'm always open to cost cutting. If we can cost cut, I like it, but nothing's going to happen to medical. We have something coming up, favored nations, where I'm going to be reducing drug prices by 1,500% where a pill that sells in Germany for $10 costs $150 here because of the bad press. And I was all set to do it, and then we had the COVID come up, and I had to focus on that because we had the greatest economy in history in my first term. I will tell you that we are going to be doing numbers on the cost of drugs in this country that I'm not talking about a 20% decrease, which would be good. I'm talking about 1,000% decrease. We're talking about where a product would sell for $80 in Germany and $1,300 here. We're not going to do that. We were subsidizing the entire world, and we're not doing it anymore. I informed the drug companies, I informed the world. And if the world wants to, if countries in the world don't want to go along, then I'm going to put tariffs on those countries, and we'll make more money. But they have to go along with it. So this is moving along rapidly. Dr. Oz is in charge, Bobby's group, and they're doing very well. And we're getting great cooperation from the drug, because the drug companies know it's unfair. You know, for years they'd say, well, we had to do research, and we had to do, I said, I don't care, you had to do research for these other countries also. They are ready to go, and I'm ready to go. And you know, if I pull that off, there's no way a Republican will lose an election. There's no way. All right, one more question. What's his guy? He's the nicest guy I know, and he asks the most vicious questions.
Why do you think President Putin is so reluctant to meet with President Zelensky?
Because he doesn't like him. He doesn't like him. They don't like him. I have people I don't like. I don't like to meet with them. Sometimes they do like to meet with people I don't like. They don't like each other, really. And if we had a real president instead of a guy that got in there with a fraudulent election, if we had a real president, that war would have never happened. Putin actually said, he said, if Trump were president, it wouldn't have happened. Happened for a lot of reasons. Happened because of Afghanistan. When he saw how incompetent Milley was and all these guys were, I think he said, well, this might be, because it was the apple of his eye. It would have never happened if I were president.
Mr. President, you have good relationship with Russian leaders and also North Korean leaders. As they are getting closer, how would that affect your diplomatic approach?
Well, I have very good relationships with Kim Jong-un, North Korea. I mean, a lot of people would say, oh, that's terrible. No, it's good. In fact, someday I'll see him. I look forward to seeing him. He was very good with me. We had 2 meetings, we had 2 summits. We got along great. I know him better than you do. I know him better than anybody, almost, other than his sister. His sister knows him pretty well. Now, I know him well, and I got along with him. You know, I'm not supposed to say I really like him a lot, because if I do that, I get killed in the fake news media. But I got along with him very well, and we had no problem. If at the time Hillary Clinton won the election, you would have had a nuclear war. You would have had a nuclear war. We're not gonna have a nuclear war. Once that happens, it's over. We're not gonna have a nuclear war. No, but Kim Jong-un will meet at some point. I look forward to it, actually. But, you notice that since I came into office, you haven't had a problem with him. Hasn't been, you know, he tests lots of rockets. He does have great capability, I will say that. But, I think a lot of good things are happening for our country. A lot of really good things. And the thing we're here today to talk about is crime, and specifically in DC. I am so proud of what these people, every one of them, what they've done in DC, because to literally stop crime on a button. I walk down that street right now. If I were, friends of mine are going out to dinner now. They haven't gone out to dinner in 4 years. They were petrified. Half the restaurants closed because nobody could go because they're afraid to go outside. Now those restaurants are open, and new restaurants are opening up. It's like a boom town. It's a great thing to see, and I'm very proud of the people behind me. Thank you very much, everybody.
So there you have it, President Trump taking questions from reporters there after signing a number of executive orders.
When you've got smoke-free satisfaction, you've got the freedom to do things your way. Get $20 off 5 cans of Zyn when you take the Zyn 10 challenge. Try it for 10 days. Smoke-free, hands-free. Find your freedom. Claim $20 off your first 5 cans of Zyn when you take the Zyn 10 challenge. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Wow. Yeah, can we believe what's happening at VisionWorks? It's buy one, get one free.
Even more wow.
Wow is right. Buy one, get one free for back to school. VisionWorks. See the difference.
President Trump now addressing House Republicans at the White House. He just walked in. Let's listen live.
Gotta vote for us. The speaker would call and say, please, please get him to vote. I said, it's 4 a.m. And everybody took the call, and just about everybody voted. And it's an amazing thing. So amazing that I just signed, and it was really helped a lot by our big, beautiful deal that we just did, the big, beautiful bill, as we call it. But I just signed the largest trade deal in history. I think maybe the largest deal in history with Japan. And that was done with Japan. They had their top people here, and we worked on it long and hard, and it's a great deal for everybody. I always say it has to be great for everybody. It's a great deal. A lot different from the deals in the past, I can tell you that. But we're doing really well as a country. We're strong. We have a lot of money flowing in. The tariffs are kicked in better than anybody other than me and a few of the people in the room thought could happen, Howard and Scott. And I just want to thank you. You've been unbelievable allies, because you're really allies. That's what you've been, and we appreciate it. Some were very difficult, but you got there. And some were a little bit, they had a little confidence, and they came in early, and we just appreciate everybody. But we're gathered tonight to celebrate 6 months of incredible achievements by one of the most successful House majorities in American history. Despite having an incredibly narrow margin, and you know that, we had actually one period speaker where we had one. In other words, we had a majority of one. Then we took a few good victories with some little elections that took place. A couple of other things happened, and we ended up with 7. But we had one, and the speaker said to me, you know, we're one heart attack away from losing the majority. We don't want to be there, and I think the results of what we're doing together will give us a tremendous midterm. We're gonna work together very hard. We're gonna make all those robocalls for you, and we're gonna pick it up, and we're gonna really, we're gonna increase. I think we should increase by a lot. But despite this incredibly narrow margin that you've already fulfilled, think of this, more promises than any Congress in generations. There's been no Congress, and we've had some even where we were up quite a bit, but there's been no Congress like this Congress in terms of achievement that people can even think of. Now, we have to take world wars out. We can take a couple of things out, but basically there's never been anything like this. And we did this with very small majorities, and I want to thank John Thune also, because the Senate has been, and all of the people in the Senate, because they've been terrific also, working with Mike and everybody. But I especially tonight want to thank Speaker Johnson for doing a job that I think he'll go down, and I think he's got a long way to go. He's going to go down as one of the greatest speakers at any time in history. And you know, and I say this, you needed a very precise personality to get these voters. If you had somebody that was just a little bit off, you were going to lose 20 votes. Then you couldn't lose any. So I just want to thank you. Everybody believes that too, Mike. Thank you very much. Great job. And Kelly is here. Hi, Kelly. Hi, Kelly. Also, a man of great courage, Steve Scalise. He's our majority leader. No, I've told this story so many times, but he was very brave. I saw him in the worst of times. I was there at his hospital late at night with his incredible wife, and we thought Steve was not with us. He was going to be a goner, and he was tough. And I actually think you look better now than you did then. If you want to, you look better now than you did before this horrible thing happened. So whatever the hell you're doing, you're going to have to let us know, all right? But he's great. And another guy who I've really gotten to like, and usually this doesn't happen because I used to have little arguments. I said, well, he's a tough guy. He's a nasty, tough guy. And then I realized how talented he was, how good he was. And we got to be, I think, really good friends. Tom Emmer, he's incredible, actually. But his wife, oh, there she is. But she liked me, and she said, you know, you don't understand my husband. He's really, and she turned out to be right. His greatest asset. Thank you both for that. So it was incredible. And every other member of Congress that's with us, we have almost pretty much a full contingent. Some of you have your spouses, and we appreciate, and that's why we appreciate what you've had to go through. These were late nights, and a lot of them too. We had a lot of them. We had, if we turned off the phones at 3:30 in the morning, we weren't working very hard. It was really something. So I just want to thank you all. And we also have Secretary Scott Bessent. Is Scott here someplace? I think so. Scott, thank you very much, Scott. And we just came in from the Oval Office where a few people got to watch the negotiation with Japan. It was interesting. Doug Burgum, I think, might be here someplace. Doug, hi, Doug. And I said to the Japanese trade representatives, and these were the top people, we concluded the one deal, Doug, and now we're going to conclude another one because they're forming a joint venture with us in Alaska, as you know, for the LNG. So I said, we'll all do that together with Chris. Is Chris here? I don't know. Chris, right? If you could set that up, Doug, it would be great. But they're all set to make that deal now, so I think it's good. This was really the one they had to make, and we're going to make a deal with Japan on the LNG in Alaska, right? Okay, thank you very much. And Howard Lutnick, who was terrific. He was terrific. Howard, he'll never go back into private industry again because he's seen numbers that are so big. This deal is, they say, the biggest deal ever made. And we have Europe coming in tomorrow and the next day, and we have some other ones coming in. We're doing things that have never been done in this country before. Our country's becoming very rich again, and that's the way it should be. They're not taking advantage of us, and it's very good. But Howard will never go back into private. You know, he had a big company, but the biggest deal you've ever made is like a quarter of a line of the deal we just left, right? So it's a little tough. Scott Turner is here. It's terrific, Scott. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Scott. Good job. Good job, Scott. Thank you very much. In fact, Scott, come here. Come here. I want to just, I'm going to have Scott say grace. Give a little prayer. Yes? I hope the television stays on. You know, they have a tendency to turn off, but I think that's good. What do you think, Brian? Yes? Come on, Scott. And nobody does it like this man. He's better at this than he is at housing, but he's good at housing. That's great, Scott. Thank you, man.
How are you, sir? I'm good.
Good.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Mr. President. We're so grateful for you. Grateful for your sacrifice and for your heart for people, your heart for this country, your heart to do what's right, no matter what. And I'm so grateful that the Lord called us to be together for such a time as this. And so I really appreciate you. And I know I can speak for everyone out here that you are a tremendous leader. And we thank God for you. And we thank God for the First Lady and your family and everything that you've gone through for this country. And we're proud to stand with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, let's pray. Father in heaven, we thank you. We're so grateful that we have this time to stand in your presence. Father God, we are at the White House. Father God, the most powerful place in the land. And Father, we thank you that President Trump allows us to take this time and go before the throne of heaven and give you reverence. You are the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, and Jesus, we thank you. We thank you that you love us so much. God, we thank you for this awesome privilege to serve the people of the United States of America. Father, the Bible says, blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. And Father, we put you in your rightful place tonight on the thrones of our heart. And Father God, on the throne of this country. Father God, we humble ourselves before you tonight, and we thank you for your goodness, for your mercy, for your grace. Father, we pray for those precious people in Central Texas, Father God, that have lost loved ones, who have lost children, who have lost family members. Thank you, God, for those on the ground who are working hard to, Father God, to help those to be recovered and rescued and restored. And Father, we pray in the days ahead, it's going to get real dark, but Father, we know that you're a light in the midst of darkness. Lord, thank you for the people of Texas, that they are so resilient. And God, we thank you that you are so faithful in the midst of the storm. Now, Father, tonight we thank you for every congressional member, their staff, their families, their spouses. Lord, thank you for giving us favor to pass this one big, beautiful bill. And what it does for the people of this great country, not just for now, but for the posterity of our nation. And Lord, tonight, may you be glorified in our time together. And Lord, I pray that you will bless our president. God, everything he puts his hands to, we pray you will bless it. Strengthen him. Father, give him wisdom like never before. Open his eyes to see like he's never seen, and his ears to hear your sweet, small voice in the midnight hour. Lord, let him know that it is well with his soul. In Jesus' name, amen.
ACC Network, your home for ACC football.
How do we pay for all this? It's an only thing.
For unbeatable value and portable power, choose Predator generators. From traditional models to super quiet inverters, multi-fuel options, and more, we've got the power you need. Power through anything with Predator. Available now, only at Harbor Freight.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Scott. That's beautiful. Thank you very much. So nice. So we also want to thank Linda McMahon, who's right now, where are you, Linda? She's out negotiating with a lot of different people. What a great cabinet member and person, and she's working on bringing education back to the states where it belongs. And lots of other things like how come Harvard got $5 billion in the last year and a half or 2 years? $5 billion they got. Linda said, you know, they're not going to be happy. Well, Harvard's getting billions and billions of dollars, and they're not spending it nicely, and they're very discriminatory and lots of other things. And she's got a tough judge. She's got a judge that would typically not be with us, but I don't want to say that because you never know what happens. But we'll win that case ultimately. We're going to win it. No decision made yet, but she's in the middle of a lot of things. But Linda, you have been unbelievable. Thank you very much. Great job you've done. And I said hello to Chris Wright. Chris is the most talented person. Doug actually said that. I offered Doug Department of Energy noise. He said, I have somebody better. He's never said that in his whole life about anybody, Mary. He's never said that about anybody, but he said Chris Wright is so incredible, and he has turned. He's the #1 guy in the oil industry, and he left for, I won't even tell you the money he was making. It was crazy money, but he knew that, and he wanted this, and he and Doug have done an incredible job, and thank you, Chris, very much. And Doug Collins, where's Doug Collins? Doug Collins, what a great guy he's been. What a great guy. At the VA right now, you have a 92% approval rating. That's not bad. Let's see if you can get it up a little bit. Who are the 8%, right? But he's working on it. He is working on it. He's incredible. What a job. Thank you, Doug. What a great job you're doing. Appreciate it. As well as EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin. Where's Lee? This guy. People don't know, he was a great lawyer, like top of the line, and then he became a congressman in a race that he had no chance to win. He won, and was a congressman like for 6 years or something, and was highly respected. And then he took a shot at running for governor of New York, even though people said it was almost impossible to even think about, and he almost won. He came so close, almost won. And I appointed him as the environmental czar. She's our environment czar. And what a job, secretary on the cabinet. He's got everything. And the job he's been doing is incredible because we have $16 trillion so far invested in our country. We never had anything even close. And this is just really in the last 4 months, not 6 months. And that's when we started accepting things and getting things going and getting them rock and rolling. And Lee is getting the permits for people so fast. You know, the biggest problem they have is we can't build if you're not going to give us the permits, or if it's going to take 9 years to get a permit and then get rejected. You know, they'd wait 9, 10, 12 years to do environmental impact statements, and at the end of 12 years, they'd get a rejection, 3 to 2. You know, they gave their lives to it. We don't do that anymore. He does it within weeks, and we really appreciate Lee. He's got an incredible staff, and we appreciate the job he's done. He's an unbelievable guy. OMB Director Russ Vaught is, nobody knows the finances of this country and the waste, fraud, and abuse better than Russell. So Russell, I want to thank you for doing such a great job. You're really in there fighting, and really was a big help during this whole situation that we had, Tom, right, with Russ, when we had to know the numbers. There's nobody that knows him better. He lives with him. Director of National Intelligence. Oh, where's Dulcie? She's like hotter than everybody. She's the hottest one in the room right now. Because she found out, I think we knew it before, in all fairness, Dulcie. But now you have certainty. She has all the documents. She has everything that you need. And she found out that Barack Hussein Obama led a group of people, and they cheated in the elections, and they cheated without question. It's not even a quote. Would you say there's even a little question there, Tulsi? She says no. And you found things that nobody thought we'd ever find. And I'm very happy and very honored to have you with us. She's right now, by far, Speaker, she's hotter than you right now, Speaker. She's the hottest person in the room right now, Speaker. So Tulsi, great job. And I know you have a lot more coming. She told me you've seen nothing yet. So I heard those rumors about you, but now I know they're true. So we're very proud of you, Tulsi. They cheated so badly, And ultimately, it led to a loss in 2020, and it shouldn't have been a loss. It was a big victory. We won by a lot. We had to do it again. But if I thought we lost, I would never have run again. And this is a far more consequential election than it would have been if we did. That's the only thing I can say in favor of it. But we can't ever let that happen again to our country. Look at what happened in terms of inflation, in terms of so many things. But most importantly, maybe in terms of allowing millions and millions of people into our country that we shouldn't have. We shouldn't have these people in our country, and the levels of violence and things that we're seeing is so bad, and we're getting them out, and Tom Holman and Christie have done an incredible job, and but we're getting them out, but this should have never happened. It was like just a terrible, unforced error. The only thing that I can't figure out, I always like to figure the other side, why would they do this? Why would they allow people to come into our country from all over the world, not just South America, but from Venezuela, but from all over the world they came, and they came by hundreds of thousands, in some cases hundreds of thousands a day. When you look at some of these, they break down gates. We built hundreds of miles of wall. They didn't break down the wall, but anything that wasn't a wall, they were able to break it down. And they came in though by the millions, and we're going to be paying a price for this, and we are paying a price. It's all consuming. And we have to get 11,888 murderers, many of them murdered more than one person. And they're in here, and some are already gone. We've gotten them out. Some we can't get out. We want to put them in jails because we're afraid they'll come back. They're so violent. And they used to say, no, these are illegal immigrants. They said are very kind people. Remember that? They used to say they're kind, they don't commit crimes. No, they make our criminals look like extremely nice people. And we have to get them out, and it's a big job. But we're doing it, and step by step. And last month, as you know, in June, we had 0 people come through the border, right? 0 people come through the border. So we're doing a real job, but what we found out is horrible, that Obama and a group of thugs cheated on the elections. They cheated violently, viciously on the elections. They're violent people. They're vicious, horrible. These are vicious, horrible people. And we can't let this happen. SBA Administrator Kelly Loeffler, a cabinet member, and a great person. Hi, Kelly. And she has done a job. You know, I always say small business. I used to say it with somebody else that happened to be, Linda, you happened to be there. I said, it's small business, but it's actually the biggest business there is, right? Probably there is. When you add it up, all those little small loans, you add them up, it's the biggest bank there is. But Kelly, you're doing a fantastic job. Thank you very much. Don't do a better job than Linda. That would be terrible. Linda had the job before you. She was so great. But don't beat her, because Linda would be very upset about that. Actually, she'd be happy. I think you'd be happy about it, right, Linda? That's the way Linda is. I want to also express our gratitude to all of just the wonderful friends, and mostly spouses, but the wonderful friends that we have here. This is sort of just a great period of time for the country, and it's a great period of time for the Republican Party. I also want to wish Congresswoman, a truly beautiful woman, Mary Miller, and her husband, her handsome husband. This is like I'd like to use them on the front page of an advertisement for people that come to a hotel or something, but they're like I think they're a perfect couple. Mary Miller, I'd like to thank you and wish you a lot with your husband, Chris, and a very happy 45th wedding anniversary. Wow. It's a beautiful couple with beautiful children and grandchildren. Good. Keep it going. Keep it going. Mary's very respected too, Chris. You know that. She's doing a fantastic job. Beautiful woman. And happy birthday to Representative Robert Adderholt. Where's Robert? Robert? Happy anniversary, Robert. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. So we have an anniversary, we have a birthday today. Anybody else having a birthday or anything? Robert, great job you're doing. Thank you very much. We appreciate it very much. Time and time again, the House Republican majority has defied the odds to deliver win after win for the American people. They were giving us very small odds of doing this bill. In fact, we were originally breaking it up into 7, and then 6, and then about 3 and 2, and then ultimately we said 1, and I had it a little different name. I had one great, big, beautiful bill. But Steve said that's too much. That's a little too much. Let's take the word great out. But it is great. It was a little tougher to say, a little too long. But we took the word great out. But it is really one incredible situation that we passed. And people said that we'll do a number of bills and it'll be much easier. Typically that's the way, except the problem was you had some where for the good of the country you had to do certain things, but it wouldn't necessarily mean you were going to get the votes. But you needed it for the good of the country. But the big, beautiful bill, the beauty is that it had something in it and a lot for everyone, including the people in this room that had a vote. So I think it was an incredible decision that we made pretty early on, right? We had a lot of people that were skeptical, Mike, about doing the 1. They said it's just not possible to get it passed. And I think it actually turned out to be the biggest advantage because everybody had something in it. No matter who you were, you could go back and say, look what we got. Oh, well, that's okay. So it really worked out well. You passed the Lake and Riley Act. You passed the Halt Fentanyl Act. That's big stuff. You know, we are tariffing countries that are sending us fentanyl and working with fentanyl. And sadly, we're taking in billions and billions of dollars, but we don't want to take in billions for that. We want them to stop, and they will. With the help of our great First Lady, you passed the Take It Down Act. That's a big thing, and it was a bipartisan. That was very bipartisan. I think I'll ask her to get involved in more acts. That was like a real bipartisan, not where you had 2. You had a lot of Democrats vote for that one. That's a beautiful thing, the horrible things that take place on the internet, and they destroy children, and children do bad things to themselves, including, you know what the word is, suicide. And it really broke our heart to see it so often, so much. And Take It Down, we take it off the internet. They do things that are so bad. And it was a great thing that you did, bipartisan. On July 3rd, you passed the One Big Beautiful Bill, and that's going to go down, I think, is one of the most monumental achievements ever in congressional history. In one historic package, we delivered the largest tax cut in American history, the largest spending cut in American history, and the largest border security investment in American history. And we had no tax on tips. Think of it, no tax on Social Security. We have no tax on overtime. It's just been, there's never been anything like it. And when you explain it, you know, because the Democrats are out there saying, death. That's all they're given the word manufactured. They manufactured. The word they use is death. That's the only thing they're good at. That's the only thing. So they have death. And when we get out and sell the opposite, it gives us life, it gives the country life, it gives, you could look at Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, it gives it life, it means it's going to be here, they're going to be here. They wouldn't be here. I don't think we'd have a country. You want to know the truth? If we didn't win this election, I don't think we'd even have a country. But we've achieved more in 6 months than the most administrations have achieved during their 4 years or even 8 years. We've achieved more in 6 months than most administrations have achieved, whether it's 4 years or 8 years, which is pretty incredible. And when I was in Saudi Arabia, we took back $5.1 trillion. We went to Qatar, we went to Saudi Arabia, and UAE. Great leaders, all 3, and great. They were great. And they invested, when I say took it back, I mean took it back in terms of an investment in the country. $5.1 trillion with a T, $1 trillion. And the King of Saudi Arabia looked at me and says, you know what? 1 year ago, America was dead. Your country was dead. He said, and now you're the hottest country anywhere in the world. That's a big statement. And that was 2 months ago. But he said, you went from a dead country, which is pretty hard to hear that. But it's true. I mean, think of it. We were in a dead country. We had an embarrassment. All over the world, they were laughing at us like we were a bunch of fools. We had a dead country. Now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. There's no country even close to being as hot. And those great representatives of Japan that a few of you, including the speaker, got to see in action, smart and sharp. And they said the same thing. They said, look, you have the hottest country in the world. So since I took office, the NASDAQ and the S&P 500, and they just did it again today, have set more than a dozen record highs. Core inflation is way down, below 2%. Think of that. And gas prices are the lowest they've been in many, many years. You know, it's interesting. I watch the Democrats and they get on these shows. Well, prices are up. Energy is up. Gasoline is through the roof. Food and groceries are up. They lie. One guy even said eggs are up, and we reduced it by about 5 times. Think of it, eggs, because when I first got here, the first week, they hit me, the fake news back there, they hit me. First week, they're screaming at me, eggs are through the roof, what are you gonna do? I said, this isn't my problem, this was, Biden did this, not Trump. But they were screaming at me. I said, just give me a chance. And I will say our Secretary of Agriculture, Brooke, did a great job. Brooke Rollins, she did a great job. She's here too. Thank you, Brooke. But think of what we've done. So prices are all down. I don't think there's any price other than we have a real terrible head of the Fed. And if he brought down interest, you know, in Europe, the European Union, they've lowered their interest rate now 11 times. And we haven't lowered ours at all. He's a stiff, he's a knucklehead. And I was very nice to him at the beginning because I know how to sell. And you know, at a certain point, it didn't matter anymore because the guy is just not a smart person. Shouldn't have been there. And I blame myself in a way for that, but I blame Biden for extending. I was surprised that they extended him, but they did. I think they extended him because they knew how much I couldn't stand him. So they did it for that reason. But and he did lower the rate before the election 2 or 3 times. It's the only time he's really acted like that. But no, he's a bad job. And he's hurting people. He's hurting people that can't get houses because they don't have mortgages. And I don't know if he's evil or stupid, and either is really not acceptable. But he's not doing a good job. And but he's only going to be there for a short while. Not going to be there much longer. Our deregulation efforts are saving the typical family thousands and thousands of dollars. So remember, when you're campaigning, got to remember this. Prices are down, groceries are down, oil is down, energy is down, gasoline is, wow. We hit $1.99 a gallon today in 5 different states. You know, in California, you keep adding taxes, you know, when you go to 7,000, 8,000, but I mean, they just keep putting taxes on gasoline. It's crazy. I think you ought to take a look at that, Doug. It's ridiculous what he's doing out there. And he's really hurting people a lot. But we have, in free market, we have gasoline that's getting down to the low 2s. And in some cases, even breaking that. I think you're going to end up breaking it if Doug does his job with Chris. You're going to be some drill, baby, drill, right, Doug? That's Doug. He really took that theme to heart. He's going wild, actually. And we'll fill up the strategic reserves. You know, they use these are massive cavities in Earth that you wouldn't believe how big, and they took the oil out that we put in a lot at good prices, and they took it out before the election. And it didn't really amount to that much for cars, you know, it didn't last that long actually, because that's as big as those cavities, we call them cavities, are caves, they're incredible salt. They're salt mines, and they have almost an unlimited capacity, but it is limited, and they were just about filled up to the top, and for the election, they started emptying it. It wasn't meant for that. It really meant for a military emergency. It wasn't meant to keep prices down so that somebody could win an election, but obviously that didn't work. And the blue-collar workers have already seen their largest real wage increase in 60 years, another thing you can say. But the biggest thing you can say, and I told Mike today, I said, Mike, there's one thing where I don't believe we can lose.
Amazing hits the road with a full tank of gas. Amazing starts at CSL Plasma. Donate plasma today and receive up to $700 your first month. You can help create medicines that save lives while making a difference in your own. CSL Plasma. Do the amazing.
Chupa Chups, forever fun.
If you were just in a car accident, I know how overwhelming it can feel. Dealing with injuries, the other driver, and the insurance company, we handle every detail. We keep you in the loop, and we fight to get you every dollar you're owed. We're the good guys. Fierce attorneys who care. Call us now for a free consultation.
A Y-We filter? It's well designed. The
efficient. I appreciate that. Leaf Filter's technology keeps debris out of your gutters for good. Guaranteed.
What more could you ask for?
Call 833 Leaf Filter today or visit leaffilter.com.
So, at the end of my first term, I was so proud of myself because I worked very hard, and pharmaceuticals, drug prices went down for the first time in 28 years. Think of that. First time in 28 years they went down. You know what they went down? 1/4 of 1 point. Little much. The line was almost straight. It was like peak, but it went down. First time in many years. 28, I think. And I was so proud I called a news conference to announce that drug prices have gone down for the first time in many years. And I thought it was great, but then I did something much better. And this is what you have to run on. I have a friend who has a serious weight problem. Serious. He's brilliant, but extremely heavy. I'm being nice. And he takes Ozempic, or as they call it, the fat drug. And he's a brilliant guy. He's rich, tough, highly neurotic. He's a mess. He's a total mess. But he is brilliant and rich. And he was in London, and he calls me like president. He always used to call me Donnie. Now he calls me president. That's good. I like that better. He goes, president, what's going on? I just bought the Ozempic for $88. And in New York, I paid $1,300. Same factory, same company that makes it, same everything. $88 to $1,300. He said almost $1,300. And I explained to him that that's the way it's been for many, many years, where people actually go to Europe in order to buy drugs. When they come back, they'll load it up. In fact, sometimes they get arrested for having so much they think they're drug addicts. They just buy months of supply because it's sometimes 1/10, 1/8, 1/5, 1/2. It's a tremendous difference. And this is for the people in this room, because this is something that nobody else can do. We're going to get the drug prices down, not 30 or 40%, which would be great, not 50 or 60, no. We're going to get them down 1,000%, 600%, 500%, 1,500%. Numbers that are not even thought to be achievable, because I've used a certain talent that I have and convinced the drug companies that you have no choice. The drug companies were selling drugs, same company, in Europe and other places, based on what Europe told them to sell them at. And they said, let America pick up the difference, and I wouldn't let it happen. I wouldn't let it happen. So I invoked what's called the favored nations provision, so that we will pay the same price as the lowest nation anywhere in the world. And drugs will come down, like from, as an example, $1,300 in the case I gave you. They'll come down from $1,300. Now, in the world, they'll go up a little bit. Not as much as you think, because the world is bigger than the United States in terms of population, as you probably know. But it will go up. And maybe it'll go up, instead of $88 or $90, it will go up to 110 or 120 or 140. But we're going to come down to 140. So you're going to have it coming down from $1,300 to 140, 150, 160. What difference? I mean, somewhere big. And it'll be, serious. It'll be numbers that nobody can even imagine. That's going to have a huge impact on Medicaid, Medicare, even Social Security. It's going to have a huge impact on everything. So I just want you to know that that's one of the things that you have, and they'll never be able to take it away from you. When I said no tax on tips, Kamala got just killed. We won Nevada by a lot. They have 99.9% of the people work in hotels, right? I said no tax on tips, and a month later she said, and there will be no tax on tips. And they got booed out of the room because they knew that was our issue. So they'll try and pick up on this issue. They can't, because we did it, but they'll try anyway, because they do lie terribly. We will have reduced drug prices by 1,000%, by 1,100, 1,200, 1,300, 1,400, 700, 600, not 30 or 40 or 50%, but numbers the likes of which you've never even dreamed of before. And we're working very hard right now to get the other countries to lift up their prices a little bit and to get the drug companies to put it to them. And if they don't, the drug companies will have a lot of problems, and they are mostly agreed to it. And if the countries don't, then as an example, if it's Europe, I'll say, that's okay. You're no longer allowed to sell cars in America. You're no longer allowed to have Mercedes, BMW, Volkswagen, or any of the other many cars. And they will say, oh, I love the idea of lower drug prices for America. So you have to use that. You have to use that because it's, I mean, I can't think of anything that can be more powerful than that, okay? And there's nothing more powerful than that. And we can't forget about it. I said, one thing I said to the speaker today, I said, the one thing I'm gonna bring up tonight, because we have so many of the congressmen and women in the room, but the one thing I'm gonna bring up is what we did with, we call it favored nations, but so we're gonna have the lowest drug prices anywhere in the world. We'll be tied for the lowest drug price, essentially, anywhere in the world. And you can win your election. I don't care where you come from, that helps everybody. There's no other point, I think, that can, what do you think, Mary? Do you agree? Okay, I agree too, Mary. You better agree, Mary. If you didn't agree, if you didn't agree. But no, it's an amazing thing. And nobody thought that was even possible. So we've negotiated historic trade deals with the United Kingdom, Indonesia, China, today Japan and the Philippines. We just did the Philippines today also. A good deal. We have stopped wars between India and Pakistan, the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Rwanda. That was going on for 30 years. And by the way, India-Pakistan was probably going to end up in a nuclear war if they kept, you know, they shut down 5 planes in the last attack. And it was back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I called them and I said, listen, no more trade. If you do this, you're not going to be good. But they're both powerful nuclear nations. And that would have happened, and who knows where that would have ended up. And I stopped it. Iran, you saw, we took out their entire capability of nuclear. Kosovo and Serbia, we stopped that. And a couple of others that we didn't stop a war, but we stopped what probably could have ended up in a war. We do that on the House as compliments of America, okay? Do you think Biden would do that? I don't think so. Do you think he ever heard of any of those countries? I don't think so. I was sitting there screaming back and forth with Japan, and somebody said, can you imagine Biden doing this? I don't think so. There would be no negotiation. We'd just be ripped off like we have been. For we've been ripped off so many years by friend and foe. And you know what? The friend has been worse in many cases than the foe, but ripped off on trade and other things. And I'm very proud to tell you that with NATO, the European, if you look, the European countries essentially will be buying our equipment, paying 100% on the dollar, and then they're going to distribute it to where they're going to distribute it, which is going to be to Ukraine or whatever, but they're buying it, so we're not going to have the expense of giving away. Biden gave away $350 billion worth of equipment, or cash. Worse than equipment, cash. So we want to find out about that someday, I guess, right? But they were supposed to buy their own equipment, but I have a feeling they didn't spend every dollar on the equipment. But they are brave. Look, they're fighting a hard fight, and we're no longer going to do that. Our great companies, we make the best military equipment in the world, and our great companies are going to be selling now, and they'll be using it. So even those people that don't want to be in the war, and I'm one of them, but even those people are saying, wow, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So they'll be able to defend themselves, and we will no longer be paying for it. And I think that's a very big thing. So we've achieved incredible things in a very short period of time. And in polling released just last week, it was announced that the approval for congressional Democrats under Hakeem Jeffries has reached the lowest ever recorded, 19%. And Republicans are doing well. And I have the best numbers I've ever had. You know, it's amazing. I watch people on television. Well, what about Donald Trump's polling numbers? Yeah, they're the best numbers I've ever had. And with this made-up hoax that they're talking about, my numbers have gone up 4 and 5 points. They want to do anything to get us off the subject of making America great again, and we're not going to put up with it. And remember, don't let them forget, it's so important, Obama cheated on the election. Look, the camera just went off. Obama, the red light just went off. Can you believe these people, how bad they are? Obama cheated. When they give you all nonsense, Obama cheated, and his people cheated, but he was there. You ever hear this? They talk about, if they ever even mention it, they never mention his name. Just the opposite with me. But they only mention my name. They don't mention any of you guys. They don't mention Tom. They don't mention Steve. They don't mention our great speaker. They mention Trump all the time. I'd like to have them mention you. But remember this, Obama cheated on the election. And we have it cold, hard, blue, and it's getting even more so because the stuff that's coming in is not even believable. So, and you should mention that every time they give you a question that's not appropriate. Just say, oh, by the way, Obama cheated on the election. You watch the camera turn off instantly. But I want to thank all of you again, once again. This is an incredible job. It's incredible people, really incredible people. And you know, it's very interesting. I got to know so many of you over the last 6 months, really. But so many of you, some I didn't know. But you have tremendous talent. And you have some I spoke to too much. And I particularly like the ones I didn't have to speak to at all, Mary. I didn't have to call Mary. But in particular, but I like them all. Look, in the end, we got there. We got the vote of almost a couple of people that will never vote, no matter what. You know, they think it's so cool not to vote. They have no suggestions. They have no ideas. They have no nothing. They just want to vote no. I don't know why. They're not doing very well on the polls right now, by the way, I'll tell you right now. But I want to just, if I could for a second, because he really deserves it, is truly a spectacular person, a spectacular man. I'd like to ask the Speaker, Mike Johnson, to come up and say a few words.
Mr. President, I'm not going to speak long. These guys hear me talk all the time. Okay. I just want to say that we have been making history together, and we're making history because you are the visionary, bold, strong leader that America needed. The American people recognize that. They gave us a mandate, and we're delivering on it. The exciting thing about the big, beautiful bill is America First is no longer just an agenda. It is now the law of the land, my friends. I could go by and name person by person, and I should name their spouses as well. All the members in this room, everybody deserves the credit. They underestimated us all the time, every day, because our margin is so small. But we do not accept that as our faith. We work together. This was prayer and patience and preparation and teamwork that got it done. We began this about a year and a half before that bill was delivered. The deliberate work down in the trenches. I can name the chairman of all of our committees, 11 committees of jurisdiction that worked on the big, beautiful bill. All the members in here who contributed their ideas, their thoughts, their expertise. They gave their heart and soul to it, Mr. President, because they wanted to deliver for you and deliver for the people, and we did it together. And I'm telling you, this is landmark stuff. There's not anything bigger I think we may ever work on, ever, in this legislative arena, because it may not even be possible, but we did it. And I'm so grateful and I'm so thankful and humbled to work with this group. Mr. President, they are committed to the country as you are. You are the strong leader, the example for us. With your stamina, we know we can never sleep, okay? We've got much more to do to deliver for the people who are going to do it. We thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the celebration. Everybody here deserves it. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Well, thank you very much. Please sit down. Please, thank you. We have a lot of great political leaders, and the biggest political leaders around, I guess you could say, but by far much bigger are the business leaders. It's not even close. I say that to my friends, the politicians. You have the greatest business leaders in the world here, so it's an honor. This week we're celebrating the most successful first 100 days of any administration in American history. We're thrilled to welcome to the White House dozens of the world top leaders of all kinds, but in particular business leaders. And since the election, the companies represented in this room have collectively announced more than $2 trillion in new investments, and we have a total of close to $8 trillion all told. And there's never been anything like that in this country. We've never had anything close. I would say if you looked at the last administration, probably for 4 years they did maybe less than one, and we've done almost 8. I would say we'll be above 8 in a period of 2 months. So something happened. I think two things happened. November 5th happened, and November 5th gave you tariffs, intelligently used tariffs and various other forms of incentive. But it's really amazing. There's never been, I don't think there's ever been anything like this anywhere in the world. Together, we're going to bring back the most beautiful words. I always say made in the USA, the most beautiful words. We're going to have made in the USA like we haven't had before in a long time. In addition to the business leaders whose companies I will mention in just a moment, we have some great people, great senators. Marcia, where are you? Where are you, Martha? Marcia, thank you very much. Marcia Blackburn, Bill Cassidy. Bill, thank you, Bill. Ashley Moody. Ashley, thank you. And John Husted. John, thank you very much. And Representatives Byron Donalds, Buddy Carter, Rob Whitman, Mark Alford, Mike Rogers, Richard Hudson, and Abe Hamadeh. Thank you all very much. We have Mike Kehoe, governors, Jim Pillen, Kevin Stitt, Mike Dunleavy, along with numerous other members of my cabinet, and I want to thank you all for being here. How come my cabinet has such good locations? You should have given them up to the business leaders. We want their money, you know. They have very good locations. I'm not surprised. 100 days ago this week, we inherited the wreckage of 4 years of economic disaster under the previous administration. It was an economic disaster. It was a disaster at the border like nobody had ever seen before. And you probably see we've closed up the border 99.999%, meaning 3 people got in, 3. As opposed to hundreds of thousands of people coming in on a monthly basis, millions of people actually. The periods where we had millions and millions of people pouring in on a monthly basis, we had 3 people. They buried companies in crippling regulations, waged war on American energy, pushed massive tax hikes, and gave us the worst inflation in the history of our country. In Biden's final year, the United States had the worst trade deficit ever recorded, and we lost 106,000 manufacturing jobs. Other than that, he's done a fantastic job. But now all that is changing, and all that's changing very fast, because we finally have the president who wants to put our country first. You have a president who believes in America first. In the first quarter GDP numbers just out today, core GDP, now we're removing distortions from imports, inventories, and government spending, was up plus 3%. But this is Biden's economy because we took over on January 20th. And I think you have to get us a little bit of time to get moving, but this is the Biden economy. But we still had and we've had a lot of things happen since November 5th that helped this economy because it was indicating a strong private sector growth. And it only started after November 5th. The private sector started really heating up after the election. Even though I wasn't there, people knew what we were going to be doing, and the private sector growth was actually very good. Very importantly, gross domestic investment was up an incredible 22%, which they had never seen before. Every new investment, every new factory, and every new job created is a sign of strength in American economy and a declaration of confidence in America's future. We really do. We've never seen anything like this. Even Samsung, whose name isn't mentioned here, but I heard that they announced this morning that they're going to be building a very big plant because they want to be able to beat the tariffs. It's the only way to beat them. The entire Trump economic agenda is about making it easier to do business in America, to create jobs in America, to hire American workers, and to build your factories here in America, not in China or any other country. And we're dealing with many, many countries right now, I will say, and I think I can say for Scott and for Howard and for some of the people that are dealing, there are too many to handle. I mean, to be honest with you, I'd love to hire some of the people running these companies. Boy, would you do a good job. You could have Jensen negotiate, he'd blow my people away, wouldn't you? I think even Howard would say that. Howard would say, we'll take them. He'd blow them away with big deals. One deal would be the end, that would be it. But we've terminated the Green New scam. It was a scam. And halted tens of billions of dollars of money, wasteful deficit spending. It was like throwing money right out the window. And in the coming weeks, we'll pass the largest tax cuts in American history. And I think even more so, we'll be doing things for business like you've never seen before. You saw it in a little smaller version at the beginning of our last term. You know, we had the most successful 4 years that any president has ever had. The stock market was up 88%. The other markets were up almost 100%. And that's despite COVID and all of the crazy things happening. But we had a tremendous 4 years. We're giving credit for that, actually. But our big, beautiful bill, as I call it, our big, beautiful bill, we may name it that, actually, will include 100% expensing retroactive to January 20th. So that's all the way back to just about the beginning of the year. So expensing 1 year, you take a deduction 1 year so you can build your factories right now, essentially almost tax-free if you think about it. Nobody's ever been given that. And we're going to make that expensing for a 4-year period at a full 100%. So last time we made it 1 year and you had the deductions, you'd go from 100% to 80 to 60 to 40 to 20 to Zippo. And now what we're going to do is we're going to keep it at that level, and we're going to have it for 4 years. So I believe that was one of the reasons that we had such unbelievable growth. Also, we allowed you to bring money back from outside of the country. It was impossible. You had to have 15 different law firms representing you. It was so complicated. And worse was that the tax rate was 65%. I lowered the rate substantially, but still a lot. You know, we shouldn't take your money just to hold you hostage, right? So we lowered it to a reasonable amount, and we took in trillions of dollars, came back. Apple brought in a tremendous amount of money. A lot of the companies here brought in a lot of money, and the businesses represented today clearly understand that if you build your factory in the United States, your tariff rate is 0, and you have other advantages too, and not the least of which is what I just said having to do with the bill. Now, we have to get that bill approved, so call your local representative, please, and make sure that we get it approved, because I don't want to talk too early, but we're doing well with the Republican Congress. We have the Senate is doing great, and the House is doing great. John Thune has been spectacular. Mike Johnson Speaker has been spectacular. Marcia, you're in there working very hard and doing well. What do you think, we're going to get it passed? We have to. Marcia, we don't get it passed, I'm blaming you. We have to get it passed. We will. I think we will. But I don't think we'll have any Democrat votes. If we don't get it passed, what would happen is your taxes go up 68%. Think of that. And we may not get one vote because they just vote against. It's Trump derangement syndrome, or maybe it's just they hate Republicans, or they hate what we're doing because they've lost their confidence. They've totally lost their confidence. They don't know what the hell is going on. And we are going to get it done. It's probably going to be fully Republican. Fortunately, we have the House, we have the Senate. And we may or may not have a couple of grandstanders, I don't know, but if we do, it would be good if you could work on anybody. I mean, if I were a Democrat, I'd be voting for it 100%. Because I think it's very dangerous politically not to vote for it. Think of it, your taxes go up almost 68%, so, but it looks like we're in good shape, I think, and hopefully we'll get it approved. It'll be the biggest bill ever approved in the history of our country, and it'll be the biggest tax cut ever approved in the history of our country. And in addition to that, regulations, which I'm doing in and outside of the bill, will be as big or bigger than we did last time. We have the record for regulation cuts in the 4 years. We cut 4 times higher than any other president in a 4-year period. And we're talking about 8 years and 2-term presidents. We're 4 times higher than any other president in terms of regulation cuts. And I went to a friend of mine who happens to be in the room, one of the biggest business leaders. I won't mention him because I don't know, maybe he'll like it, maybe he won't. I said to him, so you had your choice between the big tax cut last time and the big regulation cuts, which were the biggest, again, the biggest we've ever done. I would have said taxes, but he would have said regulation. I said, which was more important to you? And he said, if I could only have one, yeah, if you could only have one, he said, most important would have been regulation. The regulation was more important than the tax cut. And I mean, we cut your taxes from almost 40% down to 21%. Now we're bringing your taxes down from 21% to 15%. If you build your product, make your product in the USA. So if you make it in the USA, those chips, those beautiful chips, we'll make those suckers in the USA, and you're going to be all the way down to 15%. And I think there's never been anything like it. So now we're at the lowest scale for a large country, by far the lowest scale. Our pro-jobs, pro-American economic policies are a major reason that businesses around the world have announced $5 trillion of investment since November 5th, and now we think it's up to plus 8 trillion, and they're really coming in. They're really coming in fast. Some of them don't bother calling us. Some of them don't even want meetings. They don't want, they just start their plants and start their factories. I want to express my tremendous appreciation to the business leaders here. You are really an amazing group. This is a who's who. I don't want to say, there's an expression if something ever went off, the entire industry would be wiped out, but I won't say that. I want to think very positively, and that could never happen here, could it? But I want to congratulate you all on your incredible success and accomplishments. You've been amazing. You're the biggest and the best. So I'd like to introduce some of you, President and CEO of Hyundai, Jose Munoz. Jose, thank you very much. Fantastic. Jose is investing $21 billion, including $5.8 billion for a new steel plant in Louisiana, which is a beauty. I saw a picture of it, which is going to create at least 1,500 jobs, just the plant alone. Thank you very much, Jose. Beautiful. Chairman and CEO of global shipping giant CMA, CGM, Rudolph Sadeh. Thank you, Rudolph. Thank you very much. Fantastic. Investing $20 billion in creating 10,000 new jobs at least. Thank you very much. It's fantastic. Be very happy. President and CEO of Toyota North America, Ted Ogawa, investing $88 billion. Where's Ted? That's fantastic. Thank you, Ted. That's fantastic. Ted's investing $88 million for car production at its West Virginia factory, which is a beauty. I've seen it, actually. Congratulations. Thank you very much for being here, Ted. Co-founder and CEO of Andrew Brian Schimpf. Oh, Brian. Thank you, Brian. He's investing $1 billion for a new manufacturing facility in Ohio and display. Next to me is their 125-pound Roadrunner drone. Where is that little sucker? Where is it? Which is that? Well, whoa. That's a nasty looking thing. That's a nasty. I look up there when I'm having dinner outside. I used to look up and see the moon. Isn't it beautiful? Now you see the moon, but you see drones all over the place. And I say, let's get the hell out of here. That's a good one, isn't it, huh? I can see it. CEO of Worldwide Amazon Stores, Doug Harrington. Thank you very much. Thank you, Doug, very much. Investing $4 billion this year alone, and I know they said they're going to be investing a lot over the next 2 years. We appreciate it very much. Thank you, and say hello to everybody. CEO of Venture Global, Mike Stable. Mike, thank you very much, Mike. Investing $18 billion in liquefied natural gas expansion in Louisiana. That's going to work out good. Thank you very much. President and CEO of Siemens USA, big company, Barbara Upton. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you very much. Investing $285 million. Executive Global Chairman of Pratt Industries, friend of mine, Anthony Pratt. He's investing $5 billion. Thank you. Thank you, Anthony. I read a report today he's the richest man in Australia, but who the hell knows? Do you think you're the richest man in Australia? Close. I don't like to put you on the spot like that, Anthony, but that's pretty good. Thank you very much. That's great. $5 billion. Founder and CEO, Giovanni Hamde Orliaca. Where are you? Thank you very much. Investing $1.2 billion. Thank you very much. CEO of Bell Brands USA, Yvonne Girard. Yvonne, thank you very much. Thank you very much. $350 million. President of Schneider Electric North America, Amber Paul. Amber, thank you very much. Investing $700 million for energy infrastructure, its largest investment in its 135-year history. Chairman and CEO of Johnson & Johnson. Oh, I know, I've heard of that company, huh? Yeah, my hair looks so beautiful because of your product. Joaquin Duato, $55 billion manufacturing plant and research and development and technology. Thank you very much, $55 billion. That's a lot. But you got to catch up with Apple and some of the others. We got to get you to make a little, one of the few companies that could do that, right? Chair and CEO of Eli Lilly, a great guy. Every time I talk to him about drug prices, he sweet talks me. He tells me about the middleman. The middleman keeps telling me about the middleman. By the time I leave the meetings, I was telling my people, I say, gee, he's giving us a great bargain, you know. So, but David, you have done some job. David Ricks, you have done some job. I'll see you later, too. $27 billion, doubling its manufacturing investment in the U.S., and he's got a very hot topic right now going, but yeah, this stuff is doing really well. It's a really hot company. Thank you very much, David. CEO of Novartis, Voss Narasimhan, and it's $23 billion. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Voss. CEO of Genentech, Ashley Mugargi, $50 billion. Whoa, that's a lot of money. Good, thank you, Ashley. That's a big one. CEO of AbbVie, Rob Michael, $10 billion. Thank you very much. Thank you, good company. President and CEO of Thermo Fisher, Mark Casper, $2 billion. Thank you, Mark, very much. Chairman and CEO of Merck, great company, Rob Davis, $9 billion. Thank you very much, Rob. Chairman and CEO of Abbott, Robert Ford, $500 million. Thank you, Robert. Chairman and CEO of a company called IBM. Arvind, where are you? Where are you? Thank you very much. That's fantastic. 150 billion. That's all? That's great. Thank you very much. You've done a great job. You've done a great job with that company, too, I'll tell you. Chairman and CEO of GE Aerospace, Larry Culp. Larry, thank you very much, Larry. And Larry's investing $1 billion in manufacturing across 16 states, and with us as we have the model of their F-110 engine, which I hear is like, I must tell you, I hear it's the hottest engine there is. You got a gold mine over there, Larry, which powers our nation's finest fighter jets and other jets. And your big engine is really something that I hear is beyond anything that has been produced yet. So good luck with it. And Larry, I think we're gonna ask you to say a few words, actually, so come on up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's an honor to be here representing all of my colleagues at GE Aerospace. We are today 125 years old, but we are inventing the future of flight. Today, we power 3/4 of the world's commercial airlines and nearly 2/3 of the U.S. military combat jets and helicopters. So what you see here with the F-110 powers 70% of the newest Air Force F-15s and the F-16s. I know you were in Michigan just yesterday. This is the engine that will be under wing on the F-15EX Eagle II that the Michigan Air National Guard will soon be flying. We're excited about what's happening at our company. We're investing $1 billion this year, as the president said, across 16 states, not only in our manufacturing footprint, but with so many of the small and mid-sized businesses that constitute our supply chain. There's a lot happening. We're excited about it. Mr. President, thank you for what you're doing, not only to revitalize U.S. manufacturing, but helping ensure that the U.S. aerospace industry, one of our biggest net exporters, continues to lead the world in innovation. Thank you. Thank you.
Great job. And he has done a really great job. You took over a slightly troubled company, and now you've made it out as a business. So that's really an amazing job you've done in a short period of time. Also with us is Chairman and CEO of SoftBank, Masa. Where's Masa? Masa, come on up here, Masa. Masa has pledged $200 billion plus another $500 billion with Oracle and OpenAI for a total of $700 billion. Thank you, Masa. Come on up, please.
Well, first time of Trump administration, we made announcement, commitment, $50 billion. We delivered $70 billion over 4 years last time. This time, I tried to commit $100 billion, and President Trump said, "Oh, Masa, go for more." So we did the $200 billion commitment, and then right after that, we SoftBank, OpenAI, Oracle, and MGX together, we announced $500 billion investment. This is the largest investment for infrastructure in the United States, investment. And I think this is more than the scale. The importance is, this is the largest infrastructure for the AI, which is the future of mankind, I believe. It's gonna change every industry, every way of how our mankind's lifestyle of the future. I am committed. US is the center of innovation. US must continue the leadership of AI. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Boss. They're a friend of mine for a long time. These guys are mover. We gotta say, you are really something. It's great. We appreciate it. It's a great spirit, great genius. Tim Cook from Apple is pledging, not only pledging, is committed to $500 billion. They're gonna build plants all over the country, 7 or 8 different states. They've already started. And so I want to thank Tim. That's such a big investment for somebody that, had them pretty much in one location, as you know. Now they're coming into the United States, I believe, because of the spirit and the tariffs and the incentives. So that's Apple for $500 billion. And one of the most brilliant men that you'll ever meet, the man that's done in a short period of time something that is incredible. He's the founder, CEO, and president of NVIDIA, Jensen Huang. He's producing up to $500 billion over the next 4 years to manufacture the most powerful AI chips entirely in the USA for the first time ever. Jensen, would you come up and say a few words? This is a smart cookie.
Thank you, Mr. President.
It's a great honor to be here. NVIDIA reinvented computing for the first time after 60 years. In fact, everyone at IBM knows quite well that the computer has largely been the same since the 60s. The IBM System 360 described really quite perfectly the computer that we use today. Central processing units, operating systems, the separation of hardware and software, I/O subsystems, multitasking, all of the words that we use to describe computers today were really invented in 1964, the year after my birth. Well, after all this time, we've reinvented computers again. This is what a processor looks like. It's on the right there. People say it's a GPU. That's one GPU unit, and it's 70 pounds, 60,000 parts, 10,000 watts. In order to manufacture it requires probably a couple of hundred companies in the supply chain. It is so heavy that it requires robotics to do. It's so precise. And just to test a supercomputer requires a supercomputer. And we're going to build NVIDIA's technology, the next generation of that, all here in the United States. Without the president's leadership, his policies, his support, and very importantly, his strong encouragement. And I mean his strong encouragement. Frankly, manufacturing in the United States wouldn't have accelerated to this pace. Manufacturing isn't about low-cost labor anymore. Manufacturing is about technology. And most of the factories that build these systems today are the most advanced factories in the future. And we're going to use artificial intelligence and robotics and omniverse digital twin technology to make it possible for us to create the factories of the future. And we ought to build it right here. The really amazing thing is that this computer is the engine of a whole new industry. And this new industry is called artificial intelligence. And this new industry is a manufacturing industry in itself. That's a factory machine. Just as several hundred years ago, the dynamo was invented, water would come in and electricity would come out. Now electricity goes into this machine and incredible tokens come out, artificial intelligence. In order for this industry to thrive, we need to build these systems, of course, but we also need a progressive growth and industry-oriented energy policy, which this president has really put his weight behind. I really appreciate that. Without energy, we can't possibly have new growth industries. And we now have the backing of the administration, the backing of President Trump to support the creation of a whole new industry. This industry is going to enable a whole bunch of other industries. What we now call the AI infrastructure is going to revolutionize every industry that we know. All of the many CEOs in the room today are great partners of ours for that reason. We're working on artificial intelligence for many industries, from healthcare to drug discovery to life sciences, financial services, education, so many different industries. And that's going to be possible because we have the fundamental infrastructure here in the United States. And so I want to thank you, sir, for everything that you've done and the strong encouragement and the great policies that make it possible for us. Thank you, sir. Thanks.
Another brilliant man. You know, we have brilliant people here, and we like brilliant people, actually, but we have a lot of brilliant people in this group, and it's an honor to be with you. Past 100 days have been fighting to reclaim our jobs and bring our country back to a level that it's never seen before, and again, renew the American dream, which is what we're doing. We have tremendous spirit. I don't know if you've heard, but it's become really quite a story. I see Pete's right over here, Secretary of Defense. We have the largest number of new enlistees or people enlisting in the military forces that we've ever had. And if you remember, 6 months ago, we couldn't get anybody to sign up. That's a big turn in a very short period of time. And November 5th had a lot to do with that, and our Secretary of Defense and a lot of the people that you see sitting here really had a lot to do with that. There's great spirit. I can say that also with the police forces throughout the country. We're having a hard time filling them up. It's a dangerous job, but now we have waiting lists at almost every place. And that's an amazing accomplishment when you think it's amazing. And when I first came here, you remember just 3 months ago, I came in and they started screaming. The fake news was screaming. They were going crazy about eggs. I don't know about eggs. What's with eggs? Tell me. They said their cost is up 50% and you won't have them for Easter. I said, well, I'll have to get onto it, but this isn't my problem. This is Biden's problem. I've only been here for 4 days. They're screaming at me about eggs like it was my fault. I just got here. Didn't know anything about it. We got it taken care of, and eggs dropped 87% in the last short period of time, and everybody had eggs for Easter. In fact, we had a big Easter egg hunt on the lawns. We had 48,000 people actually came. And we had a lot of eggs. I don't know how many, but there were a lot. We didn't use plastic. They said, could you use plastic eggs? This is in early January. And I see our Secretary of Agriculture is here. Would you stand up? You did a great job. You got me out of a lot of trouble. Brooke Rollins. She got me out of a lot because they were trying to blame me for eggs and I didn't know anything about it yet. Explain it to me. But we had plenty of eggs, Brooke, right, for Easter. There was no dearth. And we have another man in the audience who's maybe the most important man in the room because he's the head of the Environmental Protection Agency, meaning he's the one that approves all your plants. And when Jensen and some of the others came in about numerous of the others, especially having to do with AI, they came in, I learned a lot. Number one, I learned we need double the electricity that we have right now for the whole country, and really more than that. I mean, 2 times would be even better. It was like unlimited thirst for electricity. And at first I said, you know, how's that possible? But that's, whatever it is, it's possible. That machine that you say you can barely lift is, I guess, it sucks up a lot of energy. But we need more than double what we have right now. So you take all of the energy, even the energy in this beautiful, incredible, it's just the greatest. I mean, no matter, I don't care where you come from with your $50 billion plan, the White House is the White House, right? You got to see in the Oval Office. If you want to take a trip down to the Oval Office, and if you come down with me, I'll show you a beautiful office. It'll blow your beautiful offices away. They'll stop and they'll say, for a lot of other reasons, but it's a beautiful place. And if you want to, I'm serious, you can do that. But I told Jensen, I told Tim, I told everybody that's building these very big, incredible plants, really plants of the future, they were talking about hooking into the grid. I said, well, you know, the grid is old and it's subject to mishap. Things can happen, including storms and much worse than storms. And if you want, I'll let you build your own utility plant, your own electric plant along with your building. You can build it inside of the plant or you can build it outside of the plant. And I went to Lee Zeldin right here and I said, Lee, we got to get fast approvals for these people. You know, they're going to do the best job. They're going to have the best engineers, the best everything. Would like to have them build their electric for them. They don't have to go outside. You become a utility. You become a great producer of electric, and if you have any extra, you put it back into the grid if you want, or you sell it back in. But you're going to be able to build, so this way we don't have to worry about do we have enough. Because if you look at California, they have brownouts, blackouts, and everything else. They don't know what the hell they're doing. Governor doesn't have a clue. But the last thing you want to do is be hooking up to the California grid so that we can go in and you'll say, gee, we have to close down the factory for a couple of days. We have a little brownout going on. So you're going to be able to build your own plant and produce as much electric as your beautiful heart's desire. And that'll be something that nobody's done before. And we're going to ask Lee to get those approved very quickly. And he'll get it approved before you can even imagine. He's great. He's great. He knows the difference. You know, you can take years to get those approved. I would say previous to us, it would be years and years. Or you could take weeks to get them approved, and it'll be just as good. But they don't play games, and they're going to get it done, and they'll get it done very quickly. So that's going to be a big help because you can have unlimited energy, unlimited electricity, and I think it's going to really. We want to stay number one. We're number one right now by a lot. I will say this, if I didn't get elected, I would say, get out of the AI business fast. Get out of all business fast, probably. Maybe get out of the country fast, because this country was heading in the wrong direction, but now it's heading in the right direction. I think it's the most consequential 100 days in the history of our country in certain ways. We had an editorial from a group that normally wouldn't give good editorials to people like me. And they said he's the most consequential president because of what he's doing with all of these policies that you're reading about, long beyond the electricity and the plants, having to do with many other things like secure borders and all of the many, many things I could go down and name them. We're gonna be getting tremendous amounts of drug and pharmaceutical companies gonna be pouring into the country. They're gonna have to. They're gonna have to, and we're gonna give them a lot of time to do it, but after that, there's gonna be a tariff wall put up. And they won't be happy about it, but they'll be happy if they start building right now. Right now, it's gonna be built, and after a certain period of time, it's gonna get tougher, and then it's gonna be real hard to do business in this country. So for the pharmaceutical companies, chip companies, a lot of different companies, we're all set to really grow. Groceries are down, the grocery prices are down, gasoline prices are down. We had some gasoline selling for $1.98 a gallon just recently in 3 different states over the last 2 days. It was at $4, and it was higher than that in some places. It was over $5. We have it way down. Energy prices are down all over the country. Mortgage rates are actually down slightly, even though I have a guy in the Fed that I'm not a huge fan of, but that's all right. These are minor details. Don't tell him I said that, please. As the cameras rock and roll back there. No, he should reduce interest rates. I think I understand interest a lot better than him because I've had to really use interest rates. But we should have interest rates go down. It would be positive, but it's not going to matter that much because ultimately what we're creating has much more to do with other things than it does just pure interest rates. But it would be nice for people wanting to buy homes and things. The prescription drug prices just saw the largest monthly decline ever recorded. So David, I'm having a little bit of an impact, at least on you, as I browbeat this guy. He's got he looks like he's 25 years old. He has this massive company, Eli Lilly, and it has no impact on him whatsoever. But I just see this number just came out. It's the largest monthly decline ever recorded. Yeah, it's probably about 2%. They did that to make me feel a little bit better. But I appreciate it. We have achieved the lowest number of illegal border crossings in U.S. history, and we're at a level that nobody thought we could get to in 2 years, let alone a couple of months. And I think Christy Nome is here someplace. Where is Christy? She's here. Let's stand up, Christy. And Tom Holman. And I see Linda. Stand up, Linda. You're doing some good education. We're bringing education back to the States, where it belongs. And she's been incredible. She's very upset with Harvard. They have $53 billion in a fund, and yet they want more grants. And it looks like we're not going to be giving them any more grants, right, Linda? And, a grant is at our discretion, and they're really not behaving well, so it's too bad. But our country is roaring like never before. Nobody's ever really seen anything like this. And again, the big thing is whether it's 8 trillion or even more than that, by the end of the year, it could be a number that would be, I think it's already, there's never been anything like it, but this is in a period of a couple of months. I think by the end of the year, the numbers will be just staggering. It's really going to be something very special, and I'm very honored to be with you. And I'd ask if anybody has any questions, please. This is your time. This is your time. You'll be live on television, all the fake news back there. Now that'll keep them down, right? That's the way to keep them down, unless they're bad people, in which case, unless they want to make some news. Would anybody have any questions? Anybody? Business leaders? You want to know anything about depreciation? No? I love it. We've done such a good job, we don't have to take. Howard, would you like to say a couple of words, please?
president talks about $8 trillion coming into America. And there's only one reason it's coming in. It's because he's finally set an industrial policy for the United States of America. We are the greatest economy in the world. We finally have a president who understands that we need to reindustrialize. We need to be made in America, made in the USA. And you feel it. You feel it with these leaders. You feel it across all your peers. Everyone feels it. It's coming back to America, and we are going to be rocking. So thank you, sir.
So thank you very much, everybody. And for the business leaders, if any of you would like to come down to the Oval and say hello, if you've never seen it, if you have seen it, just go home and enjoy your lives, count your money. But if you'd like to come down, I'm heading down there now. And again, thank you very much, everybody. Pam, you're doing a fantastic job. You're doing a fantastic job. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
At West Coast University Miami, support isn't extra. It's built in. All of our nursing programs include tutoring, program-based options, and faculty who know you by name. At WCU Miami, we're with you, start to finish. Find out more at westcoastuniversity.edu.
We have set the all-time record for the lowest number of illegal books.
All right, guys. With that said, I'm going to end the live right there, man. I was just studying while I was watching this stuff. I appreciate every single one of you guys coming to watch the live while I'm getting my studying done and getting informed. I really appreciate what the president is doing. He is doing his best to, like you said, make America great for everybody. It's not just for Republicans, but everything that he does is for our country as a whole. And you gotta love somebody who is passionate about their country. This man doesn't have to do anything. He doesn't have, like, you see, he has about a video ago, you saw one of his friends donated $250 billion. Like, he didn't know, I think Masaka, he didn't just know him yesterday. You know what I mean? These men are friends. He's been building real estate across the world, and he knows these men personally, and he's getting them to invest into our country. I don't think that Kamala Harris or Joe Biden would have done anything even close or remotely close to what the president is doing. Because of it, a lot of people will say, okay, because of implementations, they haven't seen anything yet. But I live in Florida. I just went to buy gas yesterday for $2.69. So I already see the difference. I used to buy those big boxes of eggs for like $20-something. Yesterday I went, it was $18. It was like almost $27, now it's $18. So I do see it. I see it at a gas pump, I see it with eggs, I see it with bacon. I do see that. And this is only 6-7 months into his presidency. You can't ask for more than that. He's done more in the 7 months of his presidency than Joe Biden did or Barack Obama did in his 8-year presidency. I think all that Barack Obama did was divide the country between black and white. And I remember doing the whole Black Lives Matter movement. Barack Obama didn't one time come out and speak on behalf of the African American community. And I don't really care about Barack Obama. I'm not a Democrat, never been a Democrat. Well, I did vote from the first time around. And when I saw after 4 years nothing was done, I said, I can't vote for this man again. This man is like, he's a great deceiver. And that's what I think Barack Obama is. We all know that his wife don't even respect him. She even come on her podcast and say, I would never want a son if he's like Barack. She even come up and say, he can't even touch your AC in the house, and he himself come out publicly said that all young black men should have a gay role model. Like, who says that? If you're not of the devil, who says stuff like that? You know what I mean? To young black men, to any black men, period. We're trying to lead people on the righteous and pathless way that leads to Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. And this man is saying, the person that he looked up to in college was a gay professor. Of all the professors in college you could have picked to look up to, you choose a gay professor. And I'm not saying the gay professor can't impart knowledge, but come on, bro. We ain't putting that, which goes to show, the move that they're trying to make in the black community hey, stop it. Cut it out. Sorry, guys. I have a Belgian Malinois, a little menace, man. So, Barack Obama, I definitely believe was the great deceiver and the great divider. I most definitely, and I really hope to God that they impeach his ass. I hate to say that, but walking around with his slow speech like he's so, yeah, he's an educated man, but Barack Obama can't run for anything else in this country again. Black folks, we don't want to hear from him. I think that President Trump does put the country first. And it's good to see that he's clearing up DC. And I just don't understand how people have a problem with somebody clearing up crime in their community. That goes to show this is the type of world we live in, where people would rather see criminals run the street, rob stores, kill people in the capital state, and it's okay. And then just because you don't like the man that runs the country, you would rather have that than have peace. I just don't understand. This is how people are. It's like some of the times, like I drive on the street, and I stop to give people the right of way, and instead of them, turn and say, hey, thank you very much for giving me the right of way, because a lot of time I don't have to give people the right of way. I can drive my car and be selfish as hell. But sometimes I give them the right of way, and sometimes even on the crosswalk, they're taking their sweet time on their cell phones, they're talking, they're strolling, and you have to honk your horn like, yo, let's go. Like, I didn't have to stop, but I did, so move briskly. That's how I feel about, people, a lot of people in the Democratic Party. No matter what this man does, it doesn't matter how good it is, how it benefits the country, they're going to still see it as, hey, he's Trump. They're going to find something new to put on his heading. Dictator, misogynist, racist, and all those things that they put out, they cannot prove any single one of them. And this is, if this is the dictator he is, this is the dictator I want to run our country, to make our country safe. You know what I mean? We'll put Christ first. Who's trying to put Christianity back in the school, back in the White House, put people first, put the United States first, put Americans first. In every country, I'm not saying, I'm an immigrant. I'm not saying other countries can't come in here and enjoy the fruits of this country. But listen, you got to play the role until you get to that point. You know what I mean? So I most definitely, love what the president is doing. I support him 100%. I think every day this man is working. He's making himself available. Oh, then leave it alone. He's making himself available to the American people. He's being as transparent as possibly can. And when I say being as transparent as possibly can, now we know that, the president can't just come out and tell you everything. A lot of things have to be said in secret, but at the same time, I think he's transparent enough where, he's telling the American people exactly what they should know, and the rest of the things that he keeps it between him and his cabinet and his staff. He keeps it between them. And that's how government is supposed to run. I'm from Jamaica, and our government deceive us and lie to us 24/7 every day. They don't give anything to the people. They tax the crap out of us. And this president is putting this country first. He's making it safe. He's making you and me safe, whether you like it or not. And I can't fault that. And guys, with that said, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, feel free to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. And whenever you see these contents again, guys, go ahead, man. And just go ahead and watch them. I'd really appreciate it. I also review motorcycles, guns, dogs, you name it, I review it. Those are just some of my passions. And with that said, guys, thank you guys for making me 13,000 subscribers strong. And I appreciate every single one of you. If you guys can't subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys, and have a wonderful day. And may God bless every single one of you.